Chapter 421, C-423. Is this possible? Facing this chaos evil spirit, he actually used the same fighting holy fist. It would be a lie for Yi Junlin to say that he was not surprised. This is the highest supreme method among the immortal methods, and its power is absolutely amazing. Boom boom boom, two ancient and vast huge fists collided, and the energy airflow that burst out swept across thousands of miles. The immortal mountain under his feet, which was as large as an asteroid, showed signs of breaking into pieces at this moment. Rolling sand and dust filled the sky, endless trees exploded, and the vast rivers were boiling and evaporating. Ah! The screams sounded for a moment, and then stopped abruptly. The entire Eclipse God tribe was directly razed to the ground by the aftermath, and the few remaining tribe members were all killed alive. Looking at the majestic figure with a top posture, Yi Junlin realized that this chaos evil spirit was not at the same level as the two of his kind he had dealt with before. Because the opponent can not only imitate his magical powers, but most importantly, the quality of his immortal power is also of the top 9 grades. What is this concept? To some extent, it is outrageously strong. Are you dumbfounded? The evil emperor sneered. Even if you are in the realm of immortal master, it is not so easy to get rid of me. With that move just now, I can fight you on equal terms. Interesting. Yi Junlin narrowed his eyes slightly, and his interest became stronger. A guess suddenly emerged in his mind. This prompted him to continue to take action. Come again. Yi Junlin once again performed the fighting holy fist, and his fist burst into a brilliant golden light, illuminating the world. Useless. The evil emperor smiled contemptuously, and also performed the fighting holy fist to offset the opponent's attack again. In an instant, the two vast and ancient fists collided with each other, like two suns colliding with each other, and the visual effect was extremely shocking. Suddenly, the evil emperor realized that something was wrong, because the power of the fighting fist he used this time was far inferior to Yi Junlin. When he realized it, it was too late. Swish, the golden fist print that had not yet dissipated rushed over with unparalleled momentum and hit the evil emperor fiercely. Damn it, there are 5 million immortal level laws this time. The evil emperor was shocked and angry, knowing why the magical power he copied could not defeat it. He could copy the magical power 1-to-1 and make it exactly the same in power, but if the opponent has other additional bonuses, that would be another matter. This is like both sides betting on each other, whoever has more chips has the advantage. Therefore, at this time, Yi Junlin's unique advantage as an immortal level realm was perfectly reflected at this moment. Unlike the half-step immortal emperor like the evil emperor, who can only initially master the power of 50,000 laws, and they are all incomplete. However, Yi Junlin mastered a full 5 million genuine immortal level laws. The gap widened in an instant. Boom, a shocking explosion sounded. A figure with black smoke burning all over his body and blood dripping all over his body escaped from the light ball in a messy posture, with an extremely ugly expression on his face, staring at Yi Junlin with resentment. Haha, how does it taste? Yi Junlin joked. The evil emperor was furious, and his mind was thinking about countermeasures quickly. The current situation is that the opponent has millions more law power than him, and he will be at a disadvantage even if he competes with magical powers again. In this case, just force the special state to open. Even if his own state will fall to the bottom after this battle, as long as he swallows a large amount of Tianyuan crystal, he can still recover over a long period of time. After all, death is the most terrifying. After a short decision, the evil emperor made an important decision. Boy, do you really think you are sure to win? Look at my mirror copy. A loud shout. The evil emperor's body was like a mirror, emitting a strange dark light. The angle he was standing at was the same as Yi Junlin's. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows, and suddenly a strange feeling emerged in his heart, as if his whole body was carefully scanned. Great Wilderness Prisoner Heaven Hand. In a flash, Yi Junlin quickly pinched his fingers to perform this move, and used 5 million immortal level laws to bless it, intending to cause a devastating blow to the evil emperor. Boom, the void collapsed inch by inch, and a majestic light and shadow reflected into reality, filled with a terrifying atmosphere that made people palpitate. Then, Yi Junlin raised his palm and slapped it, and the majestic light and shadow behind him also made a move and made the same move. Swish, an ancient giant hand like a god was condensed, and the lines covered with years spread out, and then grabbed in the opposite direction of the evil emperor. The terrible sense of oppression was as vast as the sea, and the entire immortal mountain was shaking violently, as if it could not bear the appearance of the great wilderness prisoner hand. At this moment, a shocking scene occurred. The evil emperor counterattacked with a ferocious face. He still used the Great Wilderness Prisoner Hand, and also had 5 million Immortal Venerable level laws. At this time, his cultivation was also at the Immortal Venerable level. Bang! The two moves offset each other again, and the violent energy ripples spread in all directions. Most of the Immortal Mountain collapsed, which was equivalent to an asteroid being almost destroyed. Is this possible? Looking at the evil emperor in front of him, whose aura was exactly the same as his own, even Yi Junlin was very surprised. He can accept that magical powers can be copied, but in this situation, it seems that the other party has even copied his entire body. Haha, I am you now, can you beat me? The evil emperor sneered, his whole body shimmering with a strange luster, reflecting Yi Junlin like a mirror. This is his strongest move, mirror copy. As long as the target possesses the cultivation level and means, all can be imitated. The strange thing is that Yi Junlin did not panic at all, but smiled playfully. I admit that you have great ideas, but you have ignored the most important point. You cannot defeat me in this state. When your state is lifted, you will still die. In his opinion, this kind of move is at best a 50-50 split between the two sides, and no one can take advantage in a short period of time. But as soon as the evil emperor's state is lifted, he will be immediately knocked back to his original form. Hear the words. The evil emperor fell silent. Damn, it's true. Even though he can hold Yi Junlin back now, this is actually not a long-term solution. When the mirror copy time is over, his state will be lifted, and he will really be dead in the end. HMPH, what are you so proud of? I have just sent a message for help to 2 other similar people. As long as they arrive, we can join forces to attack you. What chance do you have of winning by then? The evil emperor said coldly. After all, the ghost baby is dead, and only the Dark Lord and the inner demon old man are left. These 2 guys have special abilities, which may not be a big obstacle. To be honest, the evil emperor really didn't want his kind to join in the fun unless it was absolutely necessary. Because this means that he, who is weak in the end, will also be in danger. You know, the chaotic evil spirits can actually devour each other, but they have just tacitly maintained a balance point for so many years. Unfortunately, the situation was so pressing that the evil emperor had no choice but to make this move. Hear this. Yi Junlin's eyes showed a glint. It seemed that the other party didn't know yet that what he had killed were 2 chaos evil spirits, which meant that the chaos evil spirits guarding the strange ape tribe would rush over to help. But, just come. It just so happens that he can solve it all at once. Continue. Yi Junlin was very interested. He raised his hand to summon the Kang Yuan sword. The surging Taoist sword intent gathered on the sword body, and the terrifying sword energy shot straight into the sky. This is the first time that he is fighting against himself. Just practice your skills. Okay, I can still take the opportunity to consume you. The evil emperor secretly said, deciding to continue to consume Yi Junlin's state while his kind came to support, in order to increase the chance of winning the siege. Subsequently, the evil emperor drew a gourd like a gourd, and a black long sword appeared in his hand. It was full of evil energy and was also filled with unstoppable Taoist sword intent. Kai. The next second, a fierce battle broke out between the 2 figures, and the huge aftermath of the sword energy split the entire immortal mountain into powder. The terrifying sword energy surged wildly, tearing apart the surrounding immortal mountains crazily. If it were placed in the vast universe, how many planets would suffer? Unlike the evil emperor who wanted to consume Yi Junlin purely regarded the evil emperor as another him, wanting to find flaws in the battle and take the opportunity to improve himself. And far away in the strange ape tribe, the conquest army composed of many resuscitators and local monks is facing an unprecedented crisis. Chapter 422. C424 Save the situation at the critical moment. Lord Sacrifice Spirit is invincible. At this time, the morale of the warriors of the strange ape tribe was greatly increased. They were beating their chests with excitement and making sounds like baboons. Not long ago, the Dark Lord made a strong attack and defeated Qinglian Sword Immortal and the others with an almost crushing attitude. In the dark sky, a demonic dragon with a body as huge as a mountain and wings is entrenched. 3 powerful and fierce heads, each showing different expressions, including sarcasm, teasing, and cruelty. Fellow Taoists, how are you doing? Qinglian Sword Immortal looked sullen and half knelt on the ground with difficulty, leaning on his long sword. There was blood dripping from the corner of his mouth, and he gritted his teeth. Unexpectedly, the sacrificial spirits of the strange ape tribe are so powerful. Although he can still perform various sword moves in the realm of forbidden arts, he still cannot make up for his disadvantage. The opponent can suppress him with just his strong body and brute force. What the hell? Li Wuji was covered in blood and stood up unsteadily with a knife, his expression particularly ugly. To be honest, he regretted it. He had known better not to cause trouble to the strange ape tribe. I thought it was a wolf in the sheep flock, but in the end it was a sheep in the tiger's den. What should I do? The big mushroom king was so anxious that he burst into tears. Due to the restrictions in the realm of forbidden arts, he could not perform the Qingdi immortality art, so he could only watch his companions being seriously injured and dying. Damn it, Hong Chenny lay on the ground with a gray face and blood on the corner of his mouth. He could not move his whole body, and many bones were broken by the aftermath. This was the most humiliating and frustrating experience he had ever had. Under the Dark Lord's vast range of forbidden arts, Hong Chiba's best fire spells have no place at all. The other party just flung out the dragon's tail and sent him flying hard, causing him to lose the ability to move. Although there are many monks around to protect them, the situation is not optimistic, because the warriors of the strange ape tribe are watching closely nearby, and they have formed a siege, ready to catch all the crusade. Hey, if I had known I was going to suffer this, I wouldn't have joined in the fun. The one who started to complain was a big yellow dog that was in a sluggish state, covered in scars, and panting from exhaustion. It just ignores it. Facing the Dark Lord's attack just now, Go Buli had no choice but to reveal his true form and fight with him. Senior Go, I didn't expect Zhu to see you here. Zhu Jushin coughed out blood and smiled bitterly. As a member of the Jiaying clan, his status is comparable to that of the Tengu clan, but Zhu Jushin respects Go Buli's attitude because he was once a follower of Empress Fuyao. Okay, it's useless to talk about this after all this time. Go Buli said angrily. However, there is one thing to say, Zhu Jushin's joining did relieve some pressure on this battle. Go Buli recognized this strong man from the Nine Infant clan from the bottom of his heart. But the one who really carries the weight is the young man in front of everyone. Without him, the army would have been destroyed long ago. At this time, the boy with a middle-parted head was panting heavily and sweating profusely. His thin body contained extremely terrifying power, like a wild and ferocious beast in human form. Akun's expression was more solemn than ever before, because the big guy above his head was very powerful. The Dark Lord's cold eyes scanned the entire audience and finally locked on Akun. As expected of the descendant of the mythical beast Kunpeng. If you reach adulthood, I will definitely have no chance of winning. But now you are trying to compete with this king, but you are not qualified yet. The Dark Lord swatted away with his claws, slamming Akun into the pit, making a rumbling sound. Akun gritted his teeth, his bones creaking all over his body, and his hands supported the heavy palms above his head. He is very playful and lively, but he knows that when his master is away, he is the only hope. Kun, must stand up. Akun's eyes burst out with golden light, and the blood in his body was boiling. He actually shook the giant palm above his head away, and then shot it away like an arrow, rushing towards the Dark Lord at a speed exceeding the speed of sound. Ugly monster, look at my Kun fist. Immediately, a dense rain of fists erupted, hitting the Dark Lord head and face. Every punch contains powerful force. Stubborn. The Dark Lord sneered, and his sharp dragon claws tore through the void, blocking the large number of fists that hit him. Then, with his extremely powerful body, he crashed straight into Akun like a meteorite. Bang! Akun spurted blood from his mouth and flew upside down like a kite with its string broken. Li Wuji jumped up quickly, caught the blood-stained young man, and asked with concern, Kun, how are you? Master Kun, I guess I can't bear it anymore. Akun's face was pale and his injuries were serious. After all, the Dark Lord is in the realm of the Immortal Emperor. Even though he has the bloodline of the divine beast Kunpeng and has unlimited potential, due to the gap in cultivation, he still loses in the physical competition. From the beginning to the end, not one of the scales on the Dark Lord's body was broken. It was still as new as ever, which shows how abnormal its defense power is. It's over. Everyone's faces were ugly, and their hearts were filled with despair. You guys are definitely not the Great Terror that Gui Ying said. The real Great Terror is someone else. The Dark Lord sneered. Fortunately, it looked like it was facing a formidable enemy before, but what it didn't expect was a group of bastards. Suddenly, the Dark Lord received a message from the evil emperor in his mind. You two, come quickly. I am fighting the murderer of the ghost baby. He is very strong. I need your help. Hearing this, a fierce light burst out from the Dark Lord's eyes, and his heart was like a raging sea. That Great Terror has appeared again. And he is still fighting against the evil emperor. The most terrifying thing is that he can't even suppress the evil emperor. As the second-ranked Chaos Evil Spirit, the Dark Lord knows how powerful the Evil Emperor is. The problem is that even this kind of existence can hardly resist that strong man. The opponent's strength is simply terrifying. We must go to support them quickly. As his thoughts turned, his eyes swept over the group of injured monks, and a huge murderous intent rose in the Dark Lord's heart. The three heads showed a cruel smile and said coldly, "Before leaving, eat you all first, just as a way to replenish energy before the war." Swish, the temperature in the air was as cold as the abyss, freezing the monks present. They were eager to break out, but they were surrounded by the warriors of the monster ape tribe and had no way to go. Can they only wait to die? The monks were filled with regret, fear and despair intertwined in their hearts. "Come into my stomach," the Dark Lord grinned, opening his bloody mouth to devour the world. "No," everyone cried out in sorrow. Just then, a high-pitched dragon roar came from the sky, resounding through the sky. "Who is it?" The surrounding tribal warriors raised their heads, their pupils shrank in horror, and the dragon-shaped streamer flew over with supreme spirit. "Stop it!" Ah! Screams came one after another. The dragon-shaped streamer rushed into the encirclement unscrupulously, unimpeded all the way. All the tribal warriors who tried to stop it were knocked to spit blood and flew everywhere, with their bones and meridians broken. In countless shocked eyes, the dazzling dragon-shaped streamer just came in. When it came to the front of everyone, it revealed its figure. He was a mighty and tall man, with a head full of black hair, 2 black horns on his head, a handsome face, and golden eyes, like 2 bright flames in the dark night. His chest and arms were covered with hard dragon scales, with a dark golden luster, and a thick dragon tail swaying behind him. "I wanted to try my luck, but I didn't expect the battlefield to be here." Long Aotian snorted, and the corners of his mouth raised a blade-like arc of confidence. As for the little donkey that fled earlier, Long Aotian didn't take it to heart. He only cared about the stronger one who could be his opponent. Fortunately, he didn't miss this opportunity. With the breath left on the road, he successfully found this place. "Great, it's Long Aotian." Qingli and Sword Immortal and the others were overjoyed, as if they saw a ray of dawn illuminating the darkness. This is a monster second only to Yi Mengju in terms of combat power. Long Aotian looked around the scene expressionlessly, and suddenly saw Hong Chenny lying on the ground in the distance. Instantly, it was as if he was struck by a bolt from the blue, and his head was buzzing. Red Immortal, Chapter 423. C425 Another Death. This voice was shouted by the male cultivator who was guarding near Hong Chenny. The male cultivator's scalp was numb, and his throat gurgled and swallowed saliva. "Red Immortal, that guy is looking over here, do you know him?" Hong Chenny fell into silence, feeling very complicated. Long Aotian's timely appearance did bring a lot of changes to this battle, but he always felt that the other party was going to do something weird. After all, so many people were here. Swish, Long Aotian flashed away and turned into a shadow and came to the middle of the team. The cultivators around were frightened and staggered back, shocked by this powerful dragon man. Looking at the red-clothed figure who was injured and fell to the ground in front of him, Long Aotian's heart ached like a knife. After a long time, he squeezed out a sentence from between his teeth, which contained deep self-blame. "Chenny, I'm late." Feeling the strange eyes of the surrounding cultivators, Hong Chenny wanted to bury his head in the crack of the ground. He thought to himself, "Damn, he's going to die again." Hong Chenny was most afraid of Long Aotian encountering this kind of performance from him. Every time, he got goosebumps all over his body, which was very awkward. Long Aotian didn't know Hong Chenny's psychological activities. At this moment, in his perspective, this woman in red with white skin and slender figure like a willow had blood on the corner of her mouth, an impeccable face, and a wrinkled nose, looking very painful. In addition, Long Aotian could detect with his spiritual sense that there were many places in Hong Chenny's body, all of which were comminuted fractures, and his internal organs were seriously damaged. No wonder his overall state was sluggish and his breath was weak. When he knew that the injury was so serious, Long Aotian blamed himself and felt distressed. He felt that it was because he came too late that the immortal in front of him suffered such a punishment. "Chenny, I know you must have been desperate just now, but from now on, you won't have that feeling anymore. Because," speaking of this, Long Aotian said in a low and magnetic voice, full of sincerity and determination, "Your dragon is here." As soon as this was said, the whole audience was silent. The monks were stunned. What kind of earthy love talk is this? Cuckoo. Li Wuji wanted to laugh but didn't dare to laugh, so he had to hold back his strength. His face flushed red, as if he was constipated. Hearing this, Hong Chenny's heart was even more desperate. He gritted his teeth, lowered his head in shame and anger, wanted to curse but couldn't say it. After all, the other party's starting point was good, and he was the only powerful existence in the audience who could compete with the Dark Lord. In this situation, what else can you say? You can only bear it. Seeing that the immortal ignored him, Long Aotian felt a little disappointed, but then he thought that the immortal must be still sulking. So, he must take practical actions to save his image in the other person's mind. As his thoughts turned, Long Aotian turned and looked at the Dark Lord entrenched in the sky, his eyes spewing out anger that seemed to be materialized, and his fists clenched and creaked. It's all because of you. Then, with a heart full of anger, he walked with heavy steps, and a terrible sense of oppression burst out of his body, twisting the air along the way. Looking at this guy who suddenly broke into the scene, the Dark Lord instinctively felt a great threat, with a gloomy face, and said coldly, "Ignorant junior, I don't have time to play with you. If you dare to stop me, die." After saying the harsh words, the Dark Lord flapped his wings violently, and his figure turned into a black stream of light and went away. Seeing this, Long Aotian, who was already angry, was furious. He jumped into the air and rushed directly towards the Dark Lord, saying with a thunderous voice, "Where are you escaping? Roar!" The mighty dragon roar was extremely high-pitched, resounding between heaven and earth. Suddenly, the Dark Lord sensed a breath approaching madly, carrying a majestic killing intent. "You are looking for death." It was shocked and angry. In order to avoid entanglement, it chose to let go of the monks present, which was already the biggest concession. But Long Aotian's actions made the Dark Lord feel shameless. Kill! Long Aotian instantly transformed into a dragon man, with blood in his eyes, a ferocious face, and an unprecedented fierce attack. Due to the extreme anger, after triggering the boiling of dragon blood, his own strength soared at an incredible speed. Fuck! For a moment, the Dark Lord was stunned and fell into a passive situation. "It's all because of you. Chenny got hurt. Why did you hurt such a beautiful immortal? You are simply unforgivable. I will kill you. Kill you ah 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 ah." Long Aotian's emotions were out of control, and he roared like crazy. The self-blame and guilt in his heart turned into a raging anger, and he was eager to get rid of the target to vent his anger. The Dark Lord widened his eyes. "Are you sick? Is the reaction so intense?" At the same time, facing Long Aotian's crazy output, it rarely felt a lot of pressure, and every time it blocked, it would feel pain in its body. Gradually, the scales showed signs of breaking, and a faint trace of blood seeped out. How is this possible? The Dark Lord was shocked. It has always been absolutely confident in its physical defense. Back then, except for being defeated by Luan, one of the 4 strongest men in Kunlun realm, it had never been defeated by anyone in this field. Now, in terms of close combat, it is actually inferior to the opponent. Long Aotian was not completely suppressed. Occasionally, when he was hit by the Dark Lord, his body would feel severe pain, but he was extremely angry and had already forgotten about the injury. This also led to his fighting style, which was very cruel and savage. In the sky, the fierce fight between 2 figures attracted the attention of countless people. This moment, whether they were friends or foes, they all tacitly agreed not to take action and watch the battle in stunned silence. Because it's so exciting. This kind of fighting style is not flashy, but it is a hearty close combat with fists and fists, which makes everyone feel excited and terrified. Fellow Taoist dragon is really powerful, only he can compete with that monster. Qinglian Sword Immortal said excitedly. As the strongest alien species in the history of the Dragon Clan, he combines the advantages of the 2 major races, the Golden Dragon Clan and the Black Dragon Clan. There is no doubt about his combat power. Gubuli sighed. Hee, no matter how powerful Long Aotian is, isn't he still fighting passionately for someone? Li Wuji had a meaningful expression on his face, and when he said this, he glanced at the figure in red in the distance. Li, you'd better shut your mouth. Hearing what he meant, Hong Chenny glared at Li Wuji so hard that her teeth almost broke. Okay, don't get so angry. I'm afraid your dragon will come to settle accounts with me. Li Wuji winked. Hong Chenny was stunned for a few seconds, and then she thought of something, and she rolled her eyes in anger and almost fainted. Just wait, I will definitely burn you to death if you turn around. Master can't even protect himself, I said so. He was really angry. It can even be imagined that it will become a dark history for him in the days to come. In the sky, the Dark Lord became more and more frightened as he fought. The guy in front of me is top-notch in terms of strength, speed and reaction, and his moves may seem chaotic, but in fact they are both rough and detailed, focusing on speed, ruthlessness and accuracy. If it drags on any longer, its situation will become increasingly unfavorable. The most important thing is that the evil emperor still needs its support. Damn it, I can only leave it to the old man with inner demons. I must kill this lunatic now. Amplification halo, turn on. In an instant, the 3 dragon heads on the Dark Lord's neck and the top of his head lit up halos of different colors. They are red, brown, and cyan. Each represents strength, defense, and speed. Soon, the Dark Lord's comprehensive strength has been improved in all aspects. With the aura of growth above its head, it is full of momentum and kills Long Aotian. Well, in just a few breaths, Long Aotian felt that the pressure doubled, and he suddenly felt the urge to be suppressed. HMPH, I didn't expect you to be so difficult to deal with. It is your supreme honor as a dragon to die in this state of my king. The Dark Lord's eyes were full of murderous intent, and he slapped Long Aotian's chest hard, causing Long Aotian's chest to collapse and his flesh and blood to be bruised. Aha! Long Aotian gritted his teeth, aware of the strong wind coming in front of him, and instinctively wanted to block it. Unexpectedly, the Dark Lord was so fast that he had already circled behind him. Bang! A dull explosion. Long Aotian vomited blood and flew straight forward. Haha, the Dark Lord continued to use his same tricks, repeatedly dodging around Long Aotian and attacking. Just like that, the situation took a turn for the worse, and Long Aotian was beaten to the point where he couldn't find any direction and was manipulated. Go ignored them and their expressions changed. As strong as Long Aotian, can't he defeat that chaotic evil spirit? Junior, how does it feel to be taught a lesson by this king? The Dark Lord was like a cat teasing a mouse, beating Long Aotian in all directions. Long Aotian's body was covered in scars and blood, and he became even more furious when he heard the sarcasm in his ears. But at the same time, he also noticed the flaws in the opponent's movement skills. Do you really think I will lose to you like this? An angry roar sounded. Long Aotian instantly transformed into a dark golden dragon, seizing the gap and wrapping its huge body around the Dark Lord, like a python tightly trapping its prey. What are you going to do? The Dark Lord had a premonition that something bad was going to happen and desperately tried to break free. But in its eyes, dark red balls of light were gathering in the dragon's mouth, filled with an extremely terrifying aura of destruction. This is impossible. The Dark Lord was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat. Its forbidden area is always open, so why can the opponent still cast spells? Haha, because this is the talent inherent in my bloodline. Long Aotian's eyes burst out with fierce light, he opened his mouth and sprayed a dark red energy shock wave towards the 3 heads above the Dark Lord's head. Warm reminder. If you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error, or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. Chapter 424, C426 The Evil Emperor, Pig Teammate. The words are divided into 2 parts. Yi Junlin is still fighting against the evil emperor. To be precise, he is fighting against his other self. In the process of sparring with each other, Yi Junlin constantly checked for deficiencies and gradually gained more combat experience. The evil emperor seemed to be able to resist, but in fact he was secretly worried. What is going on? Why haven't the Dark Lord and the old man come yet? Vomited. Dang. The 2 long swords collided with each other, and there was a stalemate. Yi Junlin looked at the evil emperor in front of him and said, I'm curious, how long can you maintain this state? Being stabbed at a painful point, the evil emperor bit the bullet and shouted, even if we fight for another 300 years, I will have nothing to fear. Okay, your mouth is the toughest in the whole body, Yi Junlin said. Evil emperor, what you said is very ambiguous. Suddenly, the mirror luster all over the evil emperor's body gradually dimmed. This change frightened him so much that he couldn't help but tremble. It's over. Why is it so fast this time? Is it because the copy target is too powerful? Thinking of this, the evil emperor broke into a cold sweat, and the long-lost fear swept through his heart. He pretended to be calm and said in a deep voice, Fellow Taoist, why bother making trouble like this? Tell me, what do you want? As long as I can accept it, I will be satisfied. Seeing the other party taking the initiative to show weakness, Yi Junlin clicked his tongue and said, Now, you can't even be tough. Evil Emperor, why is this kind of person the one favored by heaven? God is really blind. It didn't take long. The effect of mirror copying disappeared, and the evil emperor was completely restored to his original form. At this moment, he felt quite panicked. PFF'd. His arm was chopped off, and the evil emperor fell back in a state of disgrace, looking at the sword-wielding figure with grief and anger on his face, and roared. Do you really want to fight to the death? Yi Junlin smiled playfully. You're such a jerk, do you still have the right to speak harshly to me? You forced me to do this. The evil emperor roared with madness on his face as he felt that his whole body was about to dissipate. At the last moment, the evil emperor turned into a black sun, bursting out with an unparalleled aura of destruction. Flying straight towards Yi Junlin, all hopes will perish together. Destroy. As he spoke, Yi Junlin poured all his strength into his body and swung his sword fiercely. The sword energy spanned 30 million miles, and many immortal mountains were reduced to dust. Rumble. The black sun burst in the sky, and the evil emperor's desperate screams came from inside. Between heaven and earth, there is vast whiteness. A long time passed. The ground surface collapsed for thousands of miles, and hot gases emerged. In the sky, there was only a figure in black with long snow-white hair flying, standing with a sword. There is a sense of being invincible and very lonely. Happy time is always short, so just go with peace of mind. Yi Junlin sighed. If the evil emperor were still alive, he would definitely be so angry that he would vomit blood after hearing this. Which of your eyes has seen me happy? But what Yi Junlin actually meant was that he was very happy. Because of the mirror image copy of the evil emperor, he had previously fought with no outcome, which was an extremely rare feeling. Maybe in the future, it will be difficult to do so again. This kind of opponent is very special, one is better than the other. Yi Junlin expressed regret for this. Now, there's only one left. Yi Junlin didn't stay too long and rushed to the next location with all his strength. He also felt a sense of accomplishment that he was about to complete the system task. Other side, the sudden change of situation left everyone present in disbelief. Kyla, the sound of flesh and blood tearing was heard. In full view of everyone, the dark golden dragon fell to the ground covered in blood, raising a huge cloud of smoke like a mushroom cloud. The surrounding ground shook like an earthquake. Look closely, you can see that the dragon's waist is almost broken, and the dragon's blood flows out like a stream, covering thousands of miles of red ground. How so? Long Aoshin's face was painful, and he raised his head with difficulty to look at the huge, incomplete figure, feeling incredible. At this time, the Dark Lord survived by luck, but strangely, all 3 heads on its neck were blown clean. The problem is, even without the 3 heads, the Dark Lord can still live, but his aura is particularly weak. On its chest, a vertical pupil was split open, staring at Long Aoshin angrily. Despicable guy, you almost succeeded. Fortunately, my fatal weakness is not on my head. You made a miscalculation. The Dark Lord was still frightened by what had just happened. That dragon man's fighting aptitude is really terrifying. It's almost comparable to the chaos back then. Hey, after all, it was just one move away. Gubuli said with an ugly expression. Damn it, kill it while it's sick. Let's go. Li Wuji gritted his teeth and raised the knife, calling for his companions to attack the Dark Lord. Yes, it's our turn. Zhu Jushin said solemnly, feeling that this was the last chance to risk his life. After all, the Dark Lord who lost 3 heads has lost a lot of advantage. This is the time for them to fight back. Loyal believers, destroy them for me. Seeing this situation, the Dark Lord immediately issued an order. At this time, the power it has established can play a big role. Master Jiling has an order to kill all intruders. The leader of the strange ape tribe roared angrily. Kill. With an order, all the tribe warriors rushed over to tear the monks in the encirclement into pieces. Fellow Taoists, fight these beasts. The monks fought back desperately. The shouts of killing were heard one after another, and the scene was in chaos. Long Aoshin, who was in a weak body, felt extremely unwilling. He gritted his teeth and said, I haven't lost yet. HMPH, it's all because of you that this king has become like this. I want to eat you to replenish my energy. The Dark Lord opened his big mouth in his belly and flew over with wings fluttering, trying to kill Long Aoshin who fell to the ground. A critical moment. Far away in the horizon, a woman in a plain skirt came walking through the escaping light. She raised her hand and knocked away hundreds of tribal warriors who tried to stop her. Her palm was as slender as jade, but it contained infinite power. There are still experts. The Dark Lord was startled. Are you done yet? That's Immortal Qin from the Yaoguang Holy Land. A monk from the central region exclaimed as he recognized the origin. Sorry, I'm late, Qin Ruyan said calmly. Because on the way I went to Taoism to treat illnesses and save people, and because the Immortal Mountain was too large, I arrived late. All the monks from the Taoist sect, follow me to kill. At the same time, and Miaoyi flew into the air with great momentum, leading the monks to follow closely and join the army. The father behind him was at ease, with a look of relief in his eyes. Unexpectedly, during this period of mental confusion, his daughter was already able to take charge of herself, and was no longer the spoiled little girl she used to be. The Dark Lord was about to explode with rage. "I will kill anyone who stands in my way." As he spoke, he wanted to tear Long Aoshin in half. "Your opponent is me." Qin Ruyan stepped forward to intercept her in an instant, with a cold look on her brows, and she had a vague air of an empress dominating the world. Hiss! The Dark Lord gasped fiercely, as if he saw a familiar figure in a trance, and felt that the figure was similar to the woman from back then. "Is this immortal interested in me?" Long Aoshin, who was seriously injured and dying, saw the woman in plain skirt blocking the Dark Lord for him. He felt so domineering that even he couldn't help but lose consciousness. After a moment, Long Aoshin seemed to realize something inside. "It's a pity that I, Long, already have a heart." Chapter 425. C427 Yi Junline, don't steal my head. "No, you can't be her." The Dark Lord came to his senses and said angrily, "Bitch, how dare you scare me? I want you dead." The next second, he flapped his wings, urged his body to whistle away, and stretched out his dark palm to grab Qin Ruyan. A mighty strong wind blew up, breaking the 10,000 feet mountain. Qin Ruyan's face was calm, and she raised her slender jade hand and moved it back and forth, as if she wanted to use a little force to move 1,000 pounds. In an instant, the Dark Lord's palm power was greatly weakened, and then the rest was completely dissolved. What? The Dark Lord was very surprised. This woman actually had this trick. Kill. Angry and anxious, it continued to attack, and all the fists were greeted. Each blow contained a powerful force, enough to hammer and kill an ordinary immortal emperor. Boom boom boom. Faced with the fierce attack, Qin Ruyan always managed to deal with it calmly. When her slender palms moved, they seemed gentle, but in fact, they had the effect of using the opponent's force to fight against the opponent's force. The whole set of movements was quite ornamental and pleasing to the eye. "Bitch! You bitch!" The Dark Lord was so angry that he broke his defense. From beginning to end, it felt like a punch on cotton, which made it feel very discouraged and affected its mentality. Hearing the insults, Qin Ruyan frowned slightly, but did not lose her composure. She was still at ease and highly focused. She knew very well that if it was the Dark Lord in his prime just now, she would never be able to defeat him, but after a long period of consumption and serious injuries, everything became possible. Especially, what she was performing now was a special palm method in the inherited memory, which was specifically aimed at the body cultivators who relied on brute force and flesh, so as to achieve the effect of using force to fight against force and using softness to overcome hardness. You know, although the Dark Lord's condition has seriously deteriorated, and he has lost 3 heads, he can still take advantage of the forbidden field and sweep all opponents on the scene. Unfortunately, the appearance of Qin Ruyan broke his dominance. After a while, Qin Ruyan began to gain the upper hand, and when the time came, she flashed in front of the Dark Lord, and hit hard with her palm, causing a big explosion in the air. Bang! The Dark Lord was struck by lightning, spitting blood, and his eyes showed shock and anger. "You can't beat me," Qin Ruyan said coldly. Hearing this, the Dark Lord was furious and roared, "Don't dream, I will never die at the hands of you, a bitch." The fight between the two sides became the focus of the audience. As the saying goes, the predecessors planted trees and the descendants enjoyed the shade. The greatly weakened Dark Lord is now being suppressed by Qin Ruyan. Everyone, with immortal Qin here, we will definitely win. The morale of all the cultivators was greatly boosted, and their confidence was greatly encouraged. This era is really full of talents. Zhu Jushin sighed. Suddenly, he noticed that Go Buli was different, and asked in confusion, "Senior, what are you doing?" At this time, Go Buli was like a demon, staring at Qin Ruyan's figure, muttering to himself. How is this possible? No one could imagine how shocked Go Buli was at this moment. Because the palm and body movements performed by Qin Ruyan made him feel unprecedentedly familiar. After thinking carefully, he realized that this was clearly the Tai Bagua palm and Zuntian step of the Fuyao Empress during her lifetime. As a loyal follower of the Fuyao Empress, Go Buli missed the former style all the time. As a result, there was a strange woman in the future who could perform the moves of the Fuyao Empress. This kind of spiritual shock can be imagined. Back then, Empress Fuyao fought against many saints of the Juyu camp in the depths of the universe. In the end, she sublimated to the extreme and chose to self-destruct after exhausting her strength. This matter has long been no secret among the top leaders of the Kunlun realm. And in that case, Empress Fuyao could not be alive. As for the reincarnation and recultivation, it is even more mysterious. After all, it has been many years since the ancient times. If it is really Empress Fuyao's reincarnation, she would have ascended to the immortal land long ago. Why would she stay here? Go Buli thought secretly and analyzed Qin Ruyan's identity. In the end, he came to a conclusion that the other party obtained the inheritance left by Empress Fuyao by chance. This kind of thing has long been common in the now revived Kunlun realm. So, Go Buli is more inclined to this statement. When it thought it through, it looked at the woman in the plain skirt again, and became particularly excited and kind. This made Zhu Jushin look strange. Ahem, I don't know whether I should say something or not. What do you want to say? Senior, people and dogs have different paths. Get lost. Go Buli cursed. You nine-headed snake, your head is full of shit, right? Zhu Jushin looked embarrassed. He said silently in his heart, I'm anxious. At the same time, the Dark Lord was beaten bloody and was at an absolute disadvantage. The fear in his heart could no longer be suppressed. If he continued to fight like this, he would definitely be dragged to death. Evil Emperor, how is the situation over there? If it's resolved, come and save me. As a last resort, the Dark Lord had to shamelessly transmit spiritual information to other similar people. But what he got was deathly silence. It was like a stone sinking into the sea. What's going on? Why didn't any of the guys respond to me? Are they all dead? The Dark Lord felt cold all over, and the ominous premonition in his heart became stronger. If they all died, wouldn't it be the only one left? If this is the case, how terrifying must the so-called Great Horror in Guiying's mouth be? Boom! While he was distracted, the Dark Lord received a heavy slap, and his huge body flew backwards and smashed into hundreds of mountains, and finally fell into the ruins, raising dust all over the sky. Qin Ruyan stepped on the sky scanning steps and looked down from a high position. Her skin was like cream and her clothes were fluttering. She was as beautiful as an immortal in a painting. Ahem, the Dark Lord kept coughing up blood, feeling the rapid loss of life force and feeling desperate. Thinking back to those days, how powerful and majestic was he as an immortal emperor-level creature. Now, he has fallen into this situation. It's time to end. Qin Ruyan raised her palm with strength, her delicate face as cold as frost filled with a firm killing intent. No, the Dark Lord's face turned pale. Just when Qin Ruyan's palm was about to fall, completely killing the Dark Lord. In the distance, an anxious shout sounded. Stop. The sound was like rolling thunder, containing a terrible sense of oppression. Who? Qin Ruyan turned around in shock. The Dark Lord was overjoyed. Great, I am saved. It felt that with such courage, he was most likely the evil emperor. Unexpectedly, when he saw the person coming clearly, the Dark Lord froze on the spot for an instant, his eyes showing surprise. Wait, who is this kid? Why don't you recognize him? The person who came was none other than Yi Junlin. At this time, Yi Junlin rushed over in a hurry, fearing that Qin Ruyan would kill the Dark Lord. With great difficulty, he managed to get rid of the other three chaotic evil spirits, leaving only the last one, and he was able to successfully complete the mission. If this head is snatched away, then this mission will be in vain. This is why he was so excited just now. My little girl, see you, Alliance Leader Yi. Seeing Yi Junlin, Qin Ruyan did not dare to show any lightness, and bowed her hands in respect with a respectful expression. Only those who have witnessed this young man taking action will know how terrifying his strength is. What's more, when she was in the Central Territory before, her life was saved by the other party. The proper etiquette must be done. Fortunately, everything is in time. Yi Junlin couldn't wait to hold up his sword and stab the Dark Lord in the ruins. The sword wind roared and tore through the void. The Dark Lord was confused. Isn't it? Are you going to kill me as soon as you arrive? At that moment, many thoughts flashed through the Dark Lord's mind. He seriously doubted that this young man was the great terror that Guiying said. And the other three of the same kind were probably killed by each other. Realizing this, the Dark Lord cried out in despair, no. Poof! The Dark Lord's chest was penetrated by the sword, and a large amount of black blood flowed out. The whole scarred body became colder and colder until it lost the breath of life. It's finally done. Yi Junlin let out a long sigh of relief. It's not easy to run around. Leader Yi, what are you? Seeing this move, Qin Ruyan's face twitched slightly. You just stopped me in a hurry, are you trying to steal someone's head? Yi Junlin said shamelessly and seriously, don't get me wrong, I'm afraid your hands will be tired, so leave the last blow to me. Qin Ruyan, she felt speechless after hearing this far-fetched answer. Forget it, it doesn't matter. The sacrificial spirit is dead. The warriors of the strange ape tribe looked desperate, feeling that a certain blood brand disappeared from their bodies, which meant that they could no longer cast forbidden arts. Without the restriction of the forbidden spell field, all monks present can use the spell. In an instant, the monks showed off their skills and crushed a group of strong men from the strange ape tribe. Because of the banned spells before, they were all restrained, like a tiger with its teeth pulled out, losing its most deadly sharp weapon. Now that the Dark Lord is dead and the special abilities of the strange apes have disappeared, everyone naturally has nothing to fear. Qing Emperor's secret of immortality. Seeing this situation, the big mushroom king quickly activated the technique with all his strength. A chaotic green lotus swayed behind him, and countless green energy spread like water waves, healing the injured monks around him. You all die to me. Hong Chenny, who had recovered, stood up and released red pillars of fire that shot into the sky. His whole body was like a god of fire possessing him, and his eyes were full of anger. He immediately burned all the strange apes he could see to ashes, leaving no trace of dregs, frantically venting his frustration. Kill. The monks launched a complete counterattack. After a while, they killed all the strange apes and wiped out this race. Everyone, look, it's Senior Yi. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. When the Eastern region monks present saw that familiar silver-haired figure, their emotions were instantly ignited and they all shouted. Countless people cried with joy and were extremely excited. That scene was like the vast number of believers meeting the gods they longed for. Senior Yi, I see you again. Wu Yangfeng burst into tears in the crowd. It's him, and Miao Yi lost her mind and muttered. Shui Wuan took a step forward, raised his hands and said respectfully, I have met Senior Yi before. I've met Senior Yi. The monks from the eastern region bowed their hands and bowed, their voices shaking the heavens and the earth. This man is the legendary Senior Yi in the East region, and he is also the leader of the current Immortal Alliance. Among them, Zhu Jushan was shocked. Leader Yi is also very popular in this place. A resurrected person in the central region sighed. Nonsense, that's Leader Yi. He suppressed the strongest existence in the world with his own strength. Said his companions. Master. Li Wuji raised his knife and said excitedly, where are we going next? Let's continue the battle. Yi Junlin waved his hand, no need, I have been to the other 3 tribes, and their sacrificial spirits have been killed by me long ago. As soon as these words came out, it caused an uproar in the whole audience. The other 3 chaotic evil spirits are also dead. Go Buli said in astonishment. This speed is really fast. Amid the boiling cheers, Yi Junlin stepped into the crowd and was surrounded by stars like the moon. Seeing familiar faces, he felt very cordial. Yi Taishang, you are finally back. Sect Master Shu Yunian said excitedly. Junior brother is still as glorious as ever, the head of Tianxiang Peak smiled with his eyes rolling. I hope everyone is okay. Yi Junlin smiled. As the first sect he had traveled through, he remembered everyone he met there. In terms of mentality, he was still a young man after returning. At this time, Yi Junlin seemed to feel that something was missing. When he remembered it, he hurriedly asked the system. Tongzi, I have already killed the 4 great chaotic evil spirits. Where is your reward? You took it all, right? Ding, Wu, it's unfair. This system will never do such a thing. The reason for this situation is that the host did not complete the task successfully. Warm reminder, the target has not been gathered. Closing square bracket. In his mind, the system's prompt sounded. Hearing this, Yi Junlin was stunned on the spot. Chapter 426. C-428 Dark Lord, you didn't hide this from me. He clearly killed every chaotic evil spirit with his own hands, so how could this happen? Obviously, something has slipped through the cracks. Think of this. Yi Junlin subconsciously turned his head and looked at the location of the Dark Lord's body, his eyes becoming meaningful. Good guy, why don't you just pretend to be dead? The acting looks quite similar. If I hadn't had a system, I would have been fooled by you. When thoughts are turning, Yi Junlin sneered and ducked into the sky, raising his sword above his head. The sword's body was hot and emitted golden light. This is. Everyone looked surprised. Is it possible that the monster is not dead? Qin Ruyan frowned and looked thoughtfully. At this time, the Dark Lord entered a state of suspended animation, his weak consciousness wandering in the darkness. Hey, these stupid guys must not have thought that this king could get away with it by faking his own death, right? If I can survive this time, I will have a chance to return to my peak cultivation level. By then, you will all become my food. Now, I just need to lie quietly and survive this disaster without any danger. Just when the Dark Lord was congratulating himself on his clever approach, he suddenly felt his whole body becoming hot, and an indescribable pain swept through his body, severely impacting his weak consciousness. Ah, what's going on? Wait, no, it turned out that it was Yi Junlin who swung out a golden sword light and rushed towards the Dark Lord with unparalleled power. Under the terrifying sword light, the Dark Lord's huge, mutilated body melted as quickly as ice and snow encountering the scorching sun, making a sizzling sound. You can discover this king, but you don't want to give me a chance. Finally, with that despair, the Dark Lord's body and spirit completely dissipated in this world. At this point, there is no more chaotic evil spirit in the Kunlun world. Looking back on those days, they relied on their peak immortal emperor level cultivation and special talents to dominate. Later, they were defeated by the 4 strongest people in the world, and then retreated to the 100,000 Immortal Mountain to secretly cultivate their own forces. They have gone through vicissitudes of life and years. Yo-yo, wake up in this new era. I originally thought that if my former opponent was not in the Kunlun world, I could act unscrupulously and try to trap all the creatures in the world as nourishment for me to swallow the death energy and improve my cultivation level. As a result, I was killed by a cheater today. I never dreamed of it. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the system task. The reward for the immortal level rules has been increased to 20 million. Close black lens bracket. As the Dark Lord disappeared, a system prompt sounded in Yi Junlin's mind. It's finally done. Yi Junlin felt a small sense of accomplishment in his heart. Those who can master 20 million immortal level laws are very few in the entire realm of immortals. Because this means that in the future, you will not only have the opportunity to be promoted to the Immortal Emperor, but also have the crown of the Immortal Tao in the middle of the sky. This is the level that most immortals dream of. Saw this scene. Only then did all the monks suddenly realize that the monster was faking his death. At the same time, I admired Yi Junlin even more for being able to understand the Dark Lord's tricks. Master is so awesome, you can tell something is wrong at a glance. Li Wuji said with admiration. Damn it, if I had known it was not dead yet, I should have used all means to torture it. It's too easy for it. Hong Chenny said angrily. For this battle, his resentment is greater than that of a ghost. Not only was he out of the limelight, he was also embarrassed. Black history. Chenny, I'm sorry that Long didn't avenge you personally. At this time, Long Aotian hesitated for a while, then came over and said. Due to King Mushroom's full rescue efforts, his injuries have recovered somewhat, but he has lost too much energy and looks very weak. At this moment, Long Aotian looked a little pale, and his mental state was a little depressed. He did not have the stern, domineering kingly demeanor he had when he appeared on the stage. Faced with what happened to Hong Chenny, Long Aotian still feels guilty. Damn, are you here again? Regarding this weird thing, Hong Chenny twitched the corner of her mouth. He really wanted to go away and ignore Long Aotian. But if you think about it carefully, it was the other party who appeared at the critical moment, fought a fierce battle with the Dark Lord, and almost died in the end. There is no doubt that this contribution is huge, and I have also received this favor. If you show off your face, it will make people feel that you are losing your status, and it cannot be justified in any case. In response to this, Hong Chenny tried her best to restrain herself. After deliberation for a long time, she said with a straight face and an extremely stiff tone. Fellow Taoist Long, there is no need to blame yourself. I am very grateful that you took action in time and saved everyone. You should go back and recover in peace. To this day, he no longer calls Long Aotian, senior, as an honorific. After all, which senior would be like this? Hear the words. Long Aotian looked stunned, his lips trembling. Although I had a narrow escape in the battle just now, after hearing these words, I suddenly felt that no matter how hard or tired it was all worth it, and my heart suddenly felt warm. The reason why the red-clothed immortal said this must be to thank him for his efforts and to pay special attention to his physical condition. It seems that not only has he restored his image in the other party's mind, but the relationship between the two has also become much closer invisibly. This trip is worth it. Thinking of this, Long Aotian couldn't help but said softly to the beauty in red in front of him. Chiba, the deep and magnetic voice was full of tenderness, and seemed to be able to see through the hearts of all women. Hiss. Hong Chenny couldn't help but take 2 steps back, goosebumps all over her body, and her hands were trembling as she clenched her fists tightly, as if she was trying her best to suppress the urge to hit someone. Calm down. I want to calm down. Seeing this, Long Aotian smiled evilly and thought to himself, this reaction seems to be too much. Cuckoo. Li Wuji tried hard to hold back his smile, and felt that he was going to get internal injuries. Hong Chenny glared at him fiercely and gritted his teeth and said, "What are you laughing at?" Long Aoshin also frowned, staring at Li Wuji closely, and said in a bad tone, "Hey, what are you laughing at?" Li Wuji waved his hands and explained, "Don't get me wrong, I just thought of something very funny for a moment, you continue. Xiao Li, what's so funny, tell me quickly, let me laugh too." At this time, Yi Junlin, who had just finished reminiscing about the past, walked through the crowd and asked curiously, "I meet Master Yi." Seeing the young man coming with his hands behind his back, Long Aoshin clasped his fists in awe. He, Long, has never been convinced by anyone in his life, but by this man. "Well, I heard that you have also made a lot of efforts and done a good job." Yi Junlin nodded symbolically and praised. Long Aoshin was overjoyed to be recognized by this peerless strong man, and said excitedly, "This is my job. Tell me, what is so funny that I can laugh too?" Yi Junlin looked at Li Wuji with an inquiring look and said seriously. Li Wuji secretly glanced at Hong Chenny with a dark face, then flashed to Yi Junlin's side and whispered in a mysterious tone, "Master, your dragon is here." Ahahaha. After saying that, he couldn't hold it anymore, bent over and laughed. Tears of laughter overflowed from the corners of his eyes, as if he heard the biggest joke of the year. Seeing this absurd scene, Yi Junlin's mind was full of question marks, and he just felt puzzled. Is this a funny new joke? Your dragon is here, I'm also your father is here. Xiao Li, your sense of humor needs to be improved. Yi Junlin said earnestly, patted Li Wuji's shoulder, then sighed, and returned to the crowd to continue talking. The laughter stopped abruptly. Li Wuji's expression was frozen on his face, and his facial muscles were twitching. No, do I look like someone with a low sense of laughter? But it's really funny. Haha, you've embarrassed yourself in front of your master, you deserve it. Hong Chenny mocked unceremoniously, feeling happy in her heart. Li Wuji, Chenny, I'll leave you for a while. Suddenly, Long Aoshin noticed the plain skirt figure in the crowd, and walked over to clasp his fists and said solemnly, "This immortal, thank you for your help just now. If you have any trouble in the future, just let me know, and I will repay you for saving my life." Qin Ruyan's face changed slightly for this powerful dragon man, and he said in a deep voice, "It's just a little effort, don't worry about it. Immortal is righteous." Long Aoshin stood in awe. He had seen Qin Ruyan's moves, and his moves were unique and mysterious, and he was deeply impressed by it. Ahem, this immortal. Suddenly, a yellow-haired Taoist priest holding a whisk came over, pretending to cough a few times, and said with a smile, "Well, may I ask where did the palm and body techniques you used when fighting that monster come from?" Chapter 427. C429 Back to where the dream began. Suddenly, Qin Ruyan's eyes were full of vigilance, and her tone gradually became colder. "This is about personal privacy, it is not convenient to disclose, please respect yourself. You know, Tai Bagua Palm and Zuntian Step are all inherited memories from the mind. How could it be revealed to others casually? What's more, even she herself doesn't know where this memory comes from." And this old Taoist priest who was smiling and trying to get close to her looked like he had no sense of boundaries, which made Qin Ruyan feel very unhappy. "Oh, you misunderstood, I want to." Seeing that the other party's attitude was very resistant, Go Bully slapped his head and tried to explain. "What do you think, old dog?" Long Aoshin couldn't stand it anymore, and stopped in front of Go Bully on the spot, glaring at the yellow-haired old Taoist priest, exuding a full sense of oppression. When he was in Xuantian Holy Land before, he had long been unhappy with this old man who looked like a dog. Now seeing that the other party was so shameless as to come and harass his savior, he could not swallow this anger. Xiaolong, you are wrong," Go Bully pretended to be calm and said with a wry smile. Long Aoshin grabbed his collar directly, his forehead was bulging with veins, his eyes were full of anger, and he said coldly, "You can also call me Xiaolong." In his opinion, only Yi, the leader of the alliance, could call me this name in the world, and no one else could. "Long, fellow Taoist Long, I don't know the seriousness of the matter. You calm down first, I have something important to say to this immortal." Go Bully was so scared that he was sweating. "Get out." Long Aoshin didn't listen to the explanation at all, picked up the other party and threw him out, like throwing away garbage. Go Bully was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He cursed in his heart. "You treat dogs so rudely, you will have no blessings in the future." After all, for Go Bully, he used to be a watchdog for the Fuyao Empress. Even in this era, he can be well known in the circle. He can be called a know-it-all in the Kunlun world and know the inside story of all directions. But in Long Aoshan's eyes, he became a wretched and perverted stinky old man with no image at all. Afterwards, Long Aoshan turned to Qin Ruyan and said, "Immortal, don't worry, the old pervert has been driven away by Long. If he dares to harass you again in the future, Long will definitely break his dog legs." "I appreciate this kindness." Qin Ruyan nodded politely, with a bright smile on her lips. As if to melt the glacier, any scenery will be eclipsed. Obviously, the lethality of this smile is huge. Even Long Aoshan was a little distracted for a moment. When he came to his senses, he secretly said in his heart, "This immortal, could it be that she is really interested in me? Well, I think so. My masculine charm is irresistible." Long Aoshan sighed secretly. He has always been a man with high standards, and not every woman can catch his eye. But now, he admits that in addition to Hong Chenny, this immortal also gives him a special feeling. But he has his principles. "Immortal, I can actually feel your feelings for me. I have to take care of Chenny's emotions. If you insist on waiting for me, I'm afraid you will be disappointed." Such confusing words made Qin Ruyan stunned in place, with a look of surprise in her eyes. "What does this mean? Why did you suddenly say such a thing?" "Sorry," Long Aoshan said with an apologetic look on his face, and resolutely turned away. Looking at the tall and majestic back, Qin Ruyan was alone in the wind, with a messy face and a slight twitch. Is there something wrong? This guy's brain might have been damaged. It's really inexplicable. On the other side, Zhu Jushin bowed his hands and said respectfully, "I am from the Jiaying clan, Zhu Jushin, and I meet the leader of the Immortal Alliance. I heard that you are the representative of the Eastern Region Resuscitator Group." Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. "I don't deserve it. I just appreciate the kindness of fellow Taoists," Zhu Jushin said hurriedly. In front of this big man, he had no arrogance at all, only deep respect. "Well, you are still abiding by the rules. You didn't make trouble in the Eastern region after you came out. Otherwise, according to the laws issued by the Immortal Alliance, you will be arrested and punished," Yi Junlin said meaningfully. "I swear to the sky that I definitely didn't make trouble before." Zhu Jushin was so scared that he sweated and quickly expressed his position. The sword that killed the Dark Lord made him realize that even if he had 9 heads, it would not be enough for the young man in front of him to chop. "Don't be afraid. What I, Yi, admire most is the outstanding strong. You should take good care of the branch of the Immortal Alliance in the East region and carry forward the ideals of the Immortal Alliance." After these words came out, Zhu Jushin was stunned. The Green Lotus Sword Immortal smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist Zhu, why don't you thank Alliance leader Yi for your kindness? You are now the leader of the branch of the Immortal Alliance." Zhu Jushin came back to his senses and bowed excitedly, saying, "Thank you, Alliance leader Yi. I will do my best." "Yes," Yi Junlin nodded. At the beginning, he just wanted to receive the task reward and set up this Immortal Tao Alliance, but now the significance of the establishment of the Immortal Alliance is not that simple. With the rapid changes in the Kunlun realm, disputes in various places will intensify, and the incidence of strong people monopolizing resources will occur from time to time. The Immortal Alliance must severely crack down on this trend, regulate the order of the cultivation world, and ensure normal channels for advancement. Only by integrating the internal forces and avoiding excessive personnel consumption can we be sure to deal with all the crises outside the domain in the future. The most important thing is that in order to prevent foreign races from sneaking into the major domains and carrying out the task of obtaining intelligence and assassination, Yi Junlin wants the eyes of the Immortal Alliance to be spread across the 5 major domains to deal with these enemy spies lurking behind the scenes. This is the role that the Immortal Alliance will play. In the days to come, I will let the Immortal Alliance set up a branch in the North Domain, South Domain, and West Domain, and the local strong men who can be trusted will serve as the leaders of the branch. This matter must be promoted as soon as possible, and there must be no mistakes," Yi Junlin said in a deep voice. "Yes, I will arrange it myself." Qinglian's Sword Immortal was shocked and breathed a little quickly, realizing that the Immortal Alliance was going to officially show its strength. "Leader Yi, if there is any place where I, Long, can be used, just give me an order." When he heard this decision, Long Aoshan felt his blood boiling and took the initiative to volunteer. Yi Junlin thought of something and said meaningfully, "Xiao Long, come with me later." "Ah, okay." Long Aoshan was a little confused, but since the other party asked, he naturally agreed. In the noisy army of cultivators, Yi Junlin didn't want to stay any longer. After a few simple instructions, he said goodbye to the cultivators present and returned to Xuantian sect with the people around him. Back to the familiar mountain, that is, Piao Miao Peak. That was the starting point of his cheating career since he traveled through time. Chapter 428. C-430 Long A Ocean, I think too much. On Piao Miao Peak, Yi Junlin returned to this familiar place with emotion. He released his spiritual consciousness and found that each cave was brand new, with no traces of dust or cobwebs, and the surrounding flowers and plants were well taken care of. Generally speaking, they looked orderly, and it did not look like they had been inhabited for a long time. Junior brother Yi, during your absence, the sect master will regularly order his disciples to clean up, waiting for when you will come back to live. The master of Hidden Sword Peak smiled. Shu Yunian said seriously, that is our Xuantian sect's supreme master Yi. Even if he is not here, the place where he used to live must be taken care of. This is related to the face of our sect. I'm determined. Yi Junlin nodded with satisfaction. Look, this is the embodiment of high emotional intelligence. Unexpectedly, the master of Tianxiang Peak covered his lips and smiled sweetly, jokingly. Mrs. Yi, you don't know something. In fact, this is just one of the sect master's purposes. The second purpose is that if you don't come back in the future, you can show the place where you live to every outside monk who comes here because of it, and charge them a high visiting fee to subsidize the sect's income. Quote. In the sky, crows cawing. Yi Junlin's forehead was covered with black lines, and he looked at Shu Yunian with a speechless expression. You are worthy of being a sect leader, you have understood this wave of celebrity effect. Shu Yunian felt a little guilty and said awkwardly, well, I think there's nothing wrong with having the best of both worlds. As he said that, he looked at the master of Tianxiang Peak with resentful eyes and said depressedly, Junior sister, why are you saying this when you are so good? It's my fault, the master of Tianxiang Peak rolled his eyes and said angrily. Yi Junlin looked around and sighed, it's been a long time since I had an open-air barbecue with everyone, how about we make time? Strengthen hard, I have enough drinks here. The master of Hidden Sword Peak said excitedly. Zhao Hong, go make arrangements. Yi Junlin turned around and ordered. Hong Chenny cupped her hands and said solemnly, yes, master. Hee, this battle is really tiring. I can hang out and drink some wine, and relax. Li Wuji said with a smile. Then, they began to prepare the ingredients, set up the oven and lit the charcoal fire, skewered the meat and vegetables, brushed oil on the grill one by one, and sprinkled with various seasonings while grilling. Soon, bursts of aroma filled the air, making people's index fingers move and mouths watering. At this time, from Long A Ocean's perspective, the beautiful woman in red was flipping the skewers skillfully and controlling the heat accurately. He couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect that Chenny still has this side in private. He is really capable. Long A Ocean felt that he also had to show off, so he took the initiative to walk over and said seriously. Chenny, let me do it, don't be tired. Hong Chenny raised her eyebrows and said dissatisfied, are you looking down on me? Please go away and don't bother me. I originally thought that when I returned to Xuantian sect, I wouldn't have to see Long A Ocean again, but I didn't expect that my master would bring him here too. This made Hong Chenny helpless and accept it, and try to avoid it as much as possible. As a result, while he was concentrating on grilling skewers, Long A Ocean showed his presence in front of him again. It would be a lie to say that he was not angry. Seeing the reaction of the woman in red, Long A Ocean was stunned. If it were anyone else, he would definitely have gone crazy on the spot, but the target was Hong Chenny. This made Long A Ocean not only not annoyed, but also found him to be very charming. Very characterful, she is indeed my favorite immortal. Just when Long A Ocean was wondering how to respond, Yi Junlin came from behind and patted him on the shoulder, smiling and saying, Xiaolong, come with me. Oh well, Long A Ocean hurriedly followed Yi Junlin. Although he didn't ask questions, he was still very confused in his heart. Leader Yi, where are you taking me? As I walked, I saw an elegant courtyard surrounded by winding paths and quite artistic conception. Come in quickly, I have something good to show you. Yi Junlin opened the bead curtain and walked into the room with a mysterious smile on his face. See this. Long A Ocean felt like he was struck by lightning. His brain circuit was different and he immediately thought of something. His back felt cold, his throat had difficulty swallowing saliva, and he said in a trembling voice. Yi, Leader Yi, you are the strongest person in the world and the person Long admires the most, but one code is another code. If you want to do something to me, even if you can't beat me, I will still resist. After all, with this quiet atmosphere and this suggestive smile, it was hard not to make Long Aotian feel that the silver-haired young man in front of him had some strange thoughts about him. Hearing this, Yi Junline's smile disappeared instantly, and he said with a dark face, "What the hell are you thinking? Do I look like that kind of person?" Vomited. "Is this all wrong? I'm so sorry." Long Aotian lowered his head, feeling ashamed, but more than anything, he was secretly glad. "Hurry up, don't dawdle," Yi Junline urged angrily. "Yes." No longer worried, Long Aotian quickly followed. In addition to a table, there are 2 futons in the room, which are very simply decorated. Long Aotian noticed that there was a mini island similar to a potted plant on the desk. He subconsciously used his spiritual consciousness to explore, but was actually isolated by some kind of power, which made him feel confused and awe-inspiring. "This is Immortal Island," Yi Junline introduced. "Death Immortal Island." Hearing these 3 words, Long Aotian suddenly thought of a famous legendary figure in the ancient Kunlun world, Lu Wangshu. At that time, the outside world called him the owner of the Immortal Island, or respectfully called him Lu Taishang. Just because this person has the highest attainments in formations, he is a veritable formation Taishang. When the Kunlun world was facing life and death, it was this big man who used the formation to turn the tide at the last moment and save the people of the world. It can be said that his record is invincible and his merits are overwhelming. In terms of fame, Lu Wangshu, the owner of the Immortal Island, was second only to the 4 absolutes in the ancient Kunlun world. Everyone knows it, everyone knows it. Now, when Long Aotian saw that the Immortal Island of Lu Taishang appeared in Yi Junline's residence, he felt extremely shocked and incredible. What is going on? How could such an important supreme treasure as the Immortal Island be here? "Leader Yi, are you very familiar with that Lu Taishang?" Long Aotian asked cautiously. Yi Junline pondered for a moment. He had already inherited the Immortal Island and had chatted with the divine consciousness left by that guy. He must be very familiar with him. Yes, very familiar. Getting the answer, Long Aotian's eyes changed again and again, and he was more and more awed in his heart. Being familiar with a big guy like Lu Taishang, Leader Yi is indeed a top figure in ancient times. It seems that the rumors about Emperor Yi Tian are 100% true and reliable. "Don't stand there, come in with me." Yi Junline's figure flashed and entered the Immortal Island. Long Aotian was very excited. He had heard about the extraordinary things about the Immortal Island a long time ago. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be able to visit it today. Chapter 429. C431. It's really a coincidence. Immortal Island. Due to the relaxation of restrictions in the laws of heaven and earth, the Aboriginal people living here have basically returned to their previous state. When Yi Junline came to this small world again, he found that there had been earth-shaking changes on the island. Countless ancient plants seemed to have undergone transformation, and a seemingly ordinary vine could kill an immortal. The dense jungle is full of dangers, and occasionally there is a rustling sound. It is a powerful animal-shaped creature passing by. It has very strong vitality and blood, and is an ancient relic that can kill the immortal king. Yi Junline has absolute control over the Immortal Island. Not only can he change the island's landscape at will, but he can also sense the number of creatures living here, their level, etc. Then he did a little exploring through permissions and soon had a good idea of what was going on the island. Yi Junline was a little surprised. Because there are actually dozens of ethnic groups on the island, and the leader of each ethnic group is from the realm of the Immortal Emperor. In addition, there are a large number of Immortal King-level creatures who stay in their respective territories and do not interfere with each other. Sure enough, what I saw before was just the tip of the iceberg. From this, it can be inferred that the group of creatures in the courtyard are the core of the overall combat power of the entire Immortal Island. Not to mention the Immortal Emperor, there are even Immortal Lords and even Immortal Emperors. However, due to the current environment of heaven and earth, they have not yet returned to their former cultivation. Thinking of this, Yi Junline secretly sighed. That guy named Lu is really a big deal. The nature of Immortal Island is that it is equivalent to a top immortal cultivating force. The creatures inside are all carefully selected back then and are only loyal to the current island owner. Lu Wangshu deliberately left Immortal Island to future generations. In fact, he left a large number of immortal powerhouses to the Kunlun realm to prevent foreign enemies from invading in the future, and they could be called upon to resist at any time. It's simply a plan for a rainy day and well-intentioned. Is this the inside of Immortal Death Island? Long Aotian looked around and was very surprised. Who could have imagined that this thing that looks like a potted plant on the outside actually contains a world the size of a large planet compressed inside? You must know that even the legendary immortal emperor is difficult to achieve this level of sophistication. Only when the formation attainments reach the supreme level can such a huge space be opened up. Sudden, a majestic questioning voice came from the distance. Where did you two come from, and you dare to trespass into the emperor's territory? The sound was like dull thunder, shocking. Boom, a green one-legged cow landed heavily in front of them, its body exuding light like the sun and the moon, and its two horns were filled with terrifying thunder. The aura is unprecedentedly powerful. He is a top-level immortal emperor. Kui Niu clan. Long Aoshin raised his eyebrows. There are actually strong men from the Kui Niu clan living on this island. The creatures of this race are not only rough-skinned and thick flesh, but they are also natural masters of lightning, capable of erupting with terrifying lethality. Haha, are you talking to me? Yi Junlin snapped his fingers. The Kui Niu was just about to get angry, but was shocked all over. It was so frightened that cold sweat broke out on its forehead, and there was an incredible look in its eyes. Suddenly, its whole body shimmered with light and turned into a middle-aged man wearing a blue robe with horns on his head. He fell to the ground in a panic and said in a trembling voice. Little Lei Qianju, meet the island owner. Lei Qianju's heart felt like a turbulent wave, and he was shocked by the identity of this silver-haired young man. He had long heard that Immortal Island had changed owners, but he had never seen what the new island owner looked like. Now, Yi Junlin snapped his fingers and activated the special imprint of his blood in his body. Only then did Lei Qianju understand what kind of person was standing in front of him. Island owner. Long Aoshin heard this title and realized that Yi Junlin had another prominent identity. He was very envious of this. After all, whoever completely controls Immortal Death Island will have a top power that can be carried with him at any time. Who in this world wouldn't want such a great good thing? Yi Junlin smiled and said, I thought you were a cow, and even the island owner didn't take it seriously. Hearing this, Lei Qianju was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. I am a young man who is blind, I hope the island owner will forgive me. Forget it, be careful next time. Yi Junlin waved his hand. Thank you Island Master for your magnanimity. Lei Qianju shook her head excitedly, and her tense heartstrings relaxed. As the owner of Immortal Death Island, he has the power of life and death over all living things on the island. This is the brand of Lu Wangshu, the first island owner, who is imprinted in their blood. If a new person takes over as the island owner, this authority will be transferred to his hands. Xiaolong, let's go. Yi Junlin took Long Aoshin into the sky and flew in another direction. Scared me to death. Looking at the departing figure, Lei Qianju collapsed to the ground with lingering fear, wishing he could slap himself in the face. Subsequently, the two came to a courtyard. This courtyard located on the top of a hill may seem ordinary, but it is actually the core of the entire Immortal Island. The creatures inside are the strongest fighting force on the island. When Yi Junlin came to the courtyard again, he could clearly feel that he had a special control over this courtyard. It no longer exists independently of licensing rights as it did before. It seems that it is because the realm has been raised to the level of Immortal Lord. Pushing open the door, Yi Junlin stepped in first. When they saw the silver-haired young man, the creatures in the yard became active instantly, especially the chickens, who shouted excitedly, the Island Master is back. The Island Master is back. I congratulate the Island Master Yi on his return. The old hen fluttered her wings and landed in front of him, lowering her head respectfully. Seeing this scene, Yi Junlin was stunned for a moment, then smiled and joked. I thought you guys wanted to continue pretending, why are you all willing to call me the Island Master now? Hearing this, the old hen said awkwardly, Island Master Yi, that's because your cultivation was not enough before, but as long as you reach the permission, we will do our best to assist you, this is our duty. Son, you are so right, I think so too. The little donkey said flatteringly. Yi Junlin glanced at the little donkey and smiled playfully. You guy, I heard that you disappeared after running to the central region, why do you want to come back? The little donkey thought to himself that it was bad, and quickly explained. Misunderstanding, it's all misunderstanding, I was just curious and looked around, but later I began to feel that no matter how good the outside world is, it can't compare to this yard, this is my home, so I came back immediately. Master Yi, don't believe it, this stupid donkey was beaten outside, so he wanted to come back and stay. The old hen exposed the other party without hesitation. The little donkey was furious and shouted angrily, you old chicken, don't slander me. It was obviously that guy who was scared by me and knelt down to beg me to leave, saying that the Central Region Temple was too small to accommodate a big Buddha like me. I thought so I came back to this yard. Yi Junlin shook his head, Too lazy to care about this matter, he came here for another purpose. Xiaolong, come in. Yes, Master Yi. Long Aoshan walked into the yard with a look of doubt, because he could feel that when he entered this yard, his cultivation was suppressed, as if he had become an ordinary person. This yard is so terrifying. As a result, when Long Aoshan came in, he saw the little donkey next to the stable at a glance. The little donkey also saw this familiar visitor and was stunned on the spot. Both sides stared at each other. The air was filled with embarrassment. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 430. C432 Family members meet. So it's you. Long Aoshan's face turned dark. No wonder the voice in the yard sounded familiar. What do you mean? I was beaten by you until I knelt down and begged for mercy. You really put your face on the line. Recalling the terror of this strong Dragon Clan man, the little donkey felt a palpitation in his heart. Even the Immortal King level creature with the 10-turn Immortal Wheel is beyond the reach of this level. Unless it returns to its peak cultivation level, it will really not be able to defeat the opponent in the realm of the Immortal Emperor. The most outrageous thing is that it happened when it was bragging. What a coincidence. How embarrassing. Wait, why should I be afraid of him in this courtyard? The little donkey suddenly reacted and grinned with a rather wild smile. Junior, how dare you speak to Mr. Donkey like this? Do you believe me or not? Let me show you some color. See this. Long Aoshan couldn't believe it. This stinky donkey who was greedy for life and afraid of death actually became so angry. He had beaten her to the point where she knelt down and begged for mercy, cried bitterly, and then ran away immediately when he wasn't paying attention. It escapes. He chased. Unexpectedly, the opponent's escape skills were top-notch, and even a strong man of his level could not follow him. Now, seeing this guy again, not only was he not afraid, but he also spoke arrogantly to him. Long Aoshan felt very annoyed about this. Bastard, I think your bitch is itchy. Long Aoshan rushed over angrily and waved his fist to hit the little donkey. However, the little donkey looked disdainful and raised its hoof and kicked it out hard. Long Aoshan was hit in the stomach and took a few steps back with a painful look on his face, almost falling to the ground. At this time, he was frightened and angry, and at the same time there was panic in his heart, because he could not exert his strength. In this courtyard, I am an ordinary person. Son, are you dumbfounded? This is Mr. Donkey home court. You, an outsider, still want to overturn the world. With one successful attack, the little donkey confidence greatly increased, and he felt so confident that a villain had achieved success. Damn it, you dare to go out and fight with me. Long Aoshan quickly ran out of the yard and stood outside and shouted angrily. Come on. The little donkey wandered out of the gate, then quickly jumped back, and then jumped out again, saying with a mean look, Hey, I came out, I went in again, I came out again, I went in again. It jumps sideways repeatedly, and the fun is exciting. Long Aoshan's eyes were red, he was so angry that his whole body was trembling. You'd better get out. Even Yi Junlin couldn't stand the little donkey arrogant look and kicked it out of the door, then closed the courtyard door thoughtfully. The little donkey who was kicked out of the gate was still in a dazed state. It turned its head stiffly to look at the closed door, and then turned its head stiffly to look at Long Aoshan in front of him with an angry face. In my heart, there are 10,000 grass and mud horses passing by. Well, I was joking just now. You are so tall and handsome, I think you won't mind, right? Haha, what do you think? Long Aoshan's smile gradually became abnormal, and he vowed to ravage this ungrateful donkey. Hey, you, don't come over here, the island master, save me. There was a loud knock on the door, and then there was silence. It was hard to imagine what kind of beating the little donkey would receive. In the yard, Yi Junlin is chatting with other creatures to learn more about the yard. As you can see, we are all guardians, and we are the strongest combat force in the entire Immortal Island. The old hen said seriously, but due to the restrictions of the law, our cultivation level cannot be fully restored. If we want to go out, we must obtain the consent of Miss Liu. Miss Liu, Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Who is this Miss Liu? Have such a high status in the yard? It's me. The next second, a very ethereal female voice came from the willow tree in the corner, which had the power to make people feel peaceful. In other words, you are the strongest guardian in the whole yard. Looking at the familiar willow tree, Yi Junlin was a little surprised. Because when he was in the yard, the willow trees were motionless and silent, so he habitually ignored them. Master Yi Island, I am really surprised by your current level of cultivation. This speed of breakthrough is unprecedented. Moreover, you can ignore the laws of heaven and earth and reach the realm of immortal lord. This further proves that you are the legendary favored one by heaven. No wonder you can obtain the inheritance of Immortal Island and become the second island owner. When he said this, Willow's tone could not remain calm. The one favored by heaven. Yi Junlin looked strange, thinking that the other party must have misunderstood something. But it doesn't matter, he won't explain it anyway. Master Yi Island, if you reach the realm of Immortal Emperor in the future, you will be able to unlock all the permissions of Immortal Island and truly unleash the strongest power of this space magic weapon. Then Willow revealed a secret. Oh, Yi Junlin became interested. Is there a new way to play this thing? It's so broad, I'm looking forward to it. Then, he thought of something, looked at the group of golden carps in the pond, and said meaningfully, if my guess is correct, you are from a tribe that was demoted from the Golden Dragon tribe back then. Hear the words. The carps that were blowing bubbles on the surface of the pond suddenly stopped blowing bubbles collectively, their eyes widened, and they looked at Yi Junlin in disbelief. Alas, I didn't expect that even you, Island Master Yi, would know about this embarrassing thing. An old carp with a long beard swam in the front and side. That's right. Back then, because my daughter made a big mistake, the Golden Dragon clan lost face and our lineage was expelled. Later, it was Liu Taishang who protected us, and we have been able to continue to this day. This is the former great elder of the Golden Dragon clan. His daughter is Long Aocean's biological mother. Yi Junlin nodded, sure enough, wait a minute. Then, he opened the gate of the yard, and a little donkey that was almost disfigured by the beating rushed in with ghosts and wolves howling, and fell to the ground gasping for breath. I finally made it. The little donkey said with tears streaming down his face. HMPH, you're lucky. Long Aocean snorted coldly. If he hadn't been seriously injured and could only exert half of his strength, the other party's fate would definitely be even more miserable. Haha, you stupid donkey got your comeuppance. This is the price of your big talk. The old hen was in a good mood and taunted. You old chicken will be caught and used to make soup sooner or later. The little donkey said indignantly. As soon as the voice fell, it was pecked fiercely, and it wailed on the ground in pain. Looking at this farce, Yi Junlin said unhappily, okay, be quiet. The island owner spoke, and the yard suddenly fell silent. Xiaolong, come here and see if they recognize each other. Yi Junlin called Long Aocean in and pointed to the pond. Long Aocean was a little confused, but he still came to the front of the pond and looked at a large group of golden carp. In an instant, he was struck by lightning and his head was buzzing. Because in his eyes, it was not a large group of golden carp, but a large group of 5-clawed golden dragons soaring in the sky. You know, Long Aocean is very proud in his bones, and the main reason is that he is a dragon. He also knew how high the status of the 5-clawed golden dragon was in the dragon clan. It was a powerful clan known as the leader of the dragon clan. But he never expected that this seemingly ordinary pond was filled with the most noble 5-clawed golden dragons. Without a doubt, this scene overturned Long Aocean's cognition. Child, why is the blood in your body so familiar? You are my. The old carp in the lead felt something, looked at Long Aocean in disbelief, and blurted out. Grandson. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement, below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 431. C433 A warm scene. Long Aocean. For no reason, a fish called him a grandson. Even though the other party's body was a 5-clawed golden dragon, he really felt offended. Old thing, who are you scolding? Long Aocean's face was dark. He stretched out his hand and reached into the water. He grabbed the old carp and asked in front of him. Grandpa. The little carps were shocked and exclaimed. The old carp felt it difficult to breathe and said with difficulty, sorry, I made a mistake. You are not my grandson. That's more like it. Long Aocean's expression relaxed and his big hand loosened. Strictly speaking, you are my grandson. Huh. Hearing this, Long Aocean's forehead was exposed with veins, and a rage that could no longer be suppressed rose in his heart. Bang! Without saying a word, he threw the old carp in his hand to the ground and kicked it hard several times. Old thing, you are taking advantage of your age. Do you really think that Long is easy to bully? You dare to take advantage of anything. Ah, the poor old carp was stepped on and screamed, wailing on the ground. The carps in the pond were stunned. Yi Junlin was also stunned. What a touching scene. When the grandson who had never met before saw his grandfather, he immediately showed his feelings with practical actions. How filial. Stop, stop, stop stepping on him. If you step on him again, your grandfather will die. Yi Junlin hurriedly stopped. Long Aoshin wanted to jump up and kick him a few more times, but after hearing this, he froze on the spot. Looking at the old carp twitching and foaming at the mouth under his feet, his head was buzzing as if struck by thunder. Son, your grandson beats up your grandpa as soon as they meet. It's so cruel. Seizing the opportunity, the little donkey shouted excitedly, wanting to vent his anger. Long Aoshin ignored the little donkey, or he didn't listen at all. At this moment, all his attention was on the old carp, with an expression full of disbelief. It's really my grandpa. I didn't expect that I would suffer such a disaster at this age. It's time and fate, the old carp said with a dying breath. Long Aoshin quickly held it in his hands and carefully felt the blood connection between them. Gradually, his hands began to tremble, beads of sweat overflowed from his forehead, and his cheeks felt hot and painful. This is too embarrassing. Are you okay? Long Aoshin hesitated for a long time and asked with a stiff upper lip. The old carp said unhappily, "Good grandson, do you think I look okay? You are too cruel, you really stepped on me to death just now." After saying this, Long Aoshin didn't know how to respond. HMPH. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something, and his attitude suddenly changed 180 degrees, and he threw the old carp to the ground roughly. Ouch! The old carp was in so much pain that he was about to cry. What are you doing? He was really disappointed. His daughter gave her life, but gave birth to such a violent child. When he got ruthless, he didn't even let his own grandfather go. Long Aoshin said coldly, "Old thing, don't be so arrogant. When I was brought back to the Black Dragon clan by my father, I didn't live a normal day at all. I was discriminated against and suppressed from childhood to adulthood, and was often called a little bastard. When I felt helpless, where were you, my grandfather? Later, I rebelled against the Black Dragon clan, and you, the Golden Dragon clan, didn't say anything and watched my existence coldly. Because in your eyes, I, Long Aoshin, am an alien." The low voice contained a sense of coldness and ruthlessness, like a biting cold wind blowing through people's hearts. It can be seen that Long Aoshin suffered a lot in his childhood. He was excluded and ridiculed by the Black Dragon clan. In order not to be hurt, he completely closed his heart. Even when he grew up and rebelled against the Black Dragon clan and ventured into the world of cultivation, he was alone and had few friends. Therefore, when he saw his grandfather whom he had never met, Long Aoshin did not have any feelings in his heart but was very unfamiliar. The old carp was silent for a long time and sighed, "Child, I sympathize with your experience, but since this incident, I have lost my most beloved daughter. Not only has my status in the clan plummeted, but the clan members around me have also been implicated and criticized. I want to ask, how much more pain do I suffer from this double blow than you?" The tone was self-blaming and deeply helpless. Long Aoshin's attitude loosened, and he said in a deep voice, "Then why are you staying here? The dignified and noble Golden Dragon lineage has become a carp in the pond. There must be an inside story." The old carp sighed, "Due to factional struggles within the tribe, we were forced to migrate from our ancestral land. I thought that with my ability, I could lead the tribe to live a good life in the outside world, but I didn't expect that this would become a luxury. Because we are pure-blooded five-clawed golden dragons, those high-ranking immortal emperors have set their sights on us and want to divide us up. When we were desperate, it was Liu Taisheng who showed up to protect us, but the price was to sign a contract and stay in this courtyard as a guardian, waiting for the future new island owner to decide. After much deliberation, I decided to join the immortal island. After all, this is the best choice. It can not only protect the tribe, but also follow the future island owner to protect the Kunlun realm. This is why we stay here. It turns out that this may be the best arrangement of fate." After hearing this, Long Aoshin felt mixed emotions. In this storm, his grandfather also suffered a lot. The most unfair thing is that he was beaten up by him as soon as he met. Thinking about it carefully, it's really a pity. Yi Junlin advised, "Xiaolong, your grandfather is innocent. He has his own difficulties. Since you have met, you should communicate with each other well. Don't be blinded by hatred and regret for the rest of your life." Thoughts fluctuated. Long Aoshin exhaled deeply, lowered his head and said, "I'm sorry, I was impulsive just now. The old carp said weakly. You are a good boy who knows your mistakes and corrects them. Let's put me back in the pond first, and then we can talk slowly. Okay. Long Aocean picked up the old carp and put it into the pond with a solemn face. The old carp, which was originally listless, returned to the water and soon became lively. Child, move your head closer. Grandpa has something important to tell you. I'll listen. Although it was still difficult to accept this identity, Long Aocean still forced himself to do it. The next second, water splashed everywhere, and the old carp suddenly jumped out of the water, swung its tail vigorously, and slapped Long Aocean's face fiercely. Pa pa pa. In just 2 seconds, Long Aocean felt like he was slapped a dozen times. Old thing, you are playing dirty. Long Aocean staggered and fell to the ground in embarrassment. After reacting, he was immediately angry and cursed. In the admiring eyes of the carp, the old carp regained his deep and steady appearance, and said with a majestic tone. You bastard, you even dare to hit your own grandfather. Today, I will teach you how to respect your elders. Ah, I will make you into a grilled fish. Long Aocean was furious and rushed to the edge of the pond to grab the old carp. I thought it would go as smoothly as before, but the opponent became particularly flexible this time, and his agile body movements made him unpredictable. HMPH, stubborn. Seizing the opportunity, the old carp jumped out of the water again, swinging its tail and slapping Long Aocean's face frantically. Pa 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 pa. The sound was crisp and pleasant, full of rhythm. Long Aocean's cheeks were scorching and painful, and he saw stars. He didn't even see his shadow clearly before he was slapped. Hee, I haven't exercised for a long time. I really want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. The old carp returned to the water and squinted. You are too young to fight with me. As the saying goes, the old is still the best. Long Aocean never thought that he would be killed in the end. Seeing this ridiculous scene, Yi Junline's mouth twitched a few times. No wonder they are a family, and they are not easy to deal with. Moreover, this was very different from the scene of recognition he had imagined. The whole process was full of complaints without any tears. Damn it, Long Aocean covered his painful cheek, trembling with anger. He was actually taught a lesson by a fish. The young ones beat the old ones, and the old ones beat the young ones. The ethos of your dragon clan is really good, ha ha ha, the little donkey rolled on the ground with laughter. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode, thumbs feed 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 432. C434 The passage to the Immortaland is restored. Since he couldn't do anything to the old carp, Long Aocean could only stare. You are an old and disrespectful person, I will never recognize your identity. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I have many virtuous sons and grandsons around me. For an uncultured madman like you who beats your elders, you don't have to admit it. Okay, this is what you said. The two sides called each other into battle and spoke fiercely. At this time, Willow sent a message to Yi Junline. Master Yi, you have finished dealing with the 4 chaotic evil spirits. What are your plans next? When chatting before, although I had been mentally prepared for it, I actually learned that the 4 major chaotic evil spirits that once shocked the Kunlun world had all fallen in the hands of this young man today. It would be a lie to say that I wasn't shocked. If it were it, even if it had the advantage in cultivation, it would be difficult to do this. Yi Junline shrugged. What else can I plan? There is no opponent for me in this world. Miss Liu, you know, being invincible is so lonely. When he said this, he spread his hands and felt helpless. Willow, are you still pretending? Okay, you have the qualifications anyway. After all, today's Yi Junline is ranked number 1 in the Kunlun world, and his strength is also the strongest in the world. Therefore, no one knows what invincibility means better than him. It's a pity that the passage to the immortal world has been destroyed. If the passage is normal, you may be able to try ascending to the immortal world. In this way, you will face greater challenges. Willow said regretfully. Yi Junline waved his hand. Let everything go as it comes. If you can go, go. If you can't go, just stay here. Anyway, if this trend continues, powerful enemies from outside the region will invade sooner or later. Then we will have fun again. Willow fell silent. I don't know why, when this very serious thing comes out of this young man's mouth, it always seems lighthearted, like playing a game. Is this the confidence of those blessed by heaven? Envious. Xiaolong, come with me. Yi Junline pulled Long Aocean impatiently and turned to leave as the noise in front of him intensified. My good grandson, come visit your grandpa more often when you have time. Grandpa, I will reward you for your big mouth. As the old carp spoke, he spit out water arrows from his mouth. It can be said to be extremely arrogant. Go away, you are paralyzed. Long Aoshin turned his head and shouted angrily. Until the yard gate closes. Then it stopped. The two went out to Immortal Death Island and came back to the house. The more Long Aoshin thought about it, the angrier he became, and he was still brooding over this matter. Suddenly, he seemed to have made some important decision, his eyes were particularly firm, he cupped his fists and said in a deep voice. Leader Yi, I strongly suggest that you catch that old carp and roast it for everyone to eat. As soon as these words came out, Yi Junline's face was full of astonishment. So cruel, that's your grandpa, no way, Long Aoshin couldn't hide his disappointment. Ahem, Yi Junline pretended to cough a few times, we'll talk about this later. We'd better go have a barbecue and you should calm down. All right, Long Aoshin had no choice but to compromise and plan to discuss the matter in the long term. Back at the party, the barbecue feast has begun, and the aroma is making people salivate. Everyone feasted on the food, clinked glasses and drank, enjoying themselves to the fullest. Only Long Aoshin was unhappy. Thinking of what happened in the yard, his face became very ugly. He squeezed out a sentence from between his teeth angrily. I want to eat fish. Yard. The old carp no longer had the arrogance he had just now. Instead, he soaked in the water sadly and fell into silence for a long time. It's thinking about its dead daughter. Fellow Taoist, let bygones be bygones. After all, you still have a grandson living in this world. This is fate, the old hen advised earnestly. HMPH, that kid has no respect for his superiors. If he dares to come again next time, I will continue to slap him. Old Carp said angrily. At this time, Lu Shu said, everyone, I can feel that the junior just now contains a huge potential in his body. I am afraid that his future achievements will be greater than mine. What? All the creatures in the courtyard were surprised. Miss Lu, are you kidding me? Are you looking down on that little brat? The little donkey shouted emotionally. Because it knew that Lu Shu's true cultivation was the peak of the Immortal Emperor, and in terms of strength, he was enough to rank among the top 10 in the Immortal Emperor's realm. Later, due to special reasons, he violently killed many Immortal Emperor-level creatures in a rage, causing a serious loss of top combat power, causing this matter to become quite controversial. Just when the Immortal Emperors from all sides were preparing to join forces to impose sanctions, Lu Taisheng came forward to mediate at the critical moment. In order to repay this favor, Lu Shu was willing to act as a guardian in the yard. As a result, the other party actually said personally that Long Aoshin's achievements in the future would be higher than that of him, which made the little donkey and other creatures unbelievable. I never joke about this kind of thing, Willow said solemnly. After receiving the answer, everyone took a breath. Especially the old carp was so frightened that he almost rolled his eyes. I should have known this. It swallowed the bad breath. This is not a bad thing. If you offend a being who will be stronger than Miss Lu in the future, even the ancestor of the Golden Dragon clan will have to kneel down and beg for mercy. It's okay, as long as we stay in this courtyard, no one can do anything to us except Master Yi Island. Thinking of the special nature of the courtyard, the little donkey suddenly became hardened. That's you, it has nothing to do with us, I didn't offend him. The old hen sneered. It has nothing to do with me either, after all, I'm his grandfather, blood is thicker than water. The old carp said seriously. The little donkey was stunned and squinted. Hey, you didn't have this attitude just now. Your attitude changes a little fast. Humph, you know shit, the misunderstanding between me and him will be resolved sooner or later, you just need to remember that my grandson has the appearance of an immortal emperor, oh no, it's the appearance of a saint. The old voice echoed in the courtyard with excitement. The old carp was very excited, this is a good thing for the ancestors' graves to emit green smoke. For a moment, I forgot the previous unpleasantness. The willow tree was speechless. It was unnecessary to reveal this information. A little regretful. Days passed. Since the death of the 4 chaotic evil spirits, the 100,000 immortal mountains no longer had any threats, and became a place for countless cultivators to explore. The Ghost Eye clan, which lost its shelter, was soon wiped out by various powerful people. As for the Yamate tribe, which was hiding in the depths of the Immortal Mountain, it was spared from the catastrophe. The reason is that the current leader of the Immortal Alliance personally said that the Yamate tribe could stay. Who in the world dares not to listen? Long Aoshin was recuperating in Xuantian sect to restore the lost vitality in his body. During this period, he went to the yard to seek revenge on the old carp. Who would have thought that the old carp smiled at him and wanted to personally teach him the more advanced Dragon Clan methods? Originally, Long Aoshin was skeptical until he felt the infinite wonders, and the resistance in his heart dissipated a lot. After all, you can't hit a smiling person, not to mention that he took the initiative to give benefits. Although the title of Grandpa was still not called out, Long Aoshin obviously didn't have such strong hostility. The attitudes of both sides tended to ease, and they understood each other tacitly. This day, the sun was particularly bright. On the Piaomiao Peak, the Green Lotus Sword Immortal bowed and reported the latest situation. Report to Alliance Leader Yi. During this period of time, with our expansion, the other 3 regions have also established branch helms. The candidates for the helmsmen are all the strongest in the local area and are willing to work for the Immortal Alliance. In addition, we have also captured several foreign aliens and are torturing them to interrogate the news of the other accomplices. In front of him, Yi Junlin leaned on the recliner and listened quietly, with a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. I have to say, this feeling of controlling everything is really cool. The current Immortal Alliance is already a behemoth in the Kunlun realm, with an unprecedented scale, a large number of people responsible for intelligence, and information is transmitted in all directions. Who farted today can be known clearly. Under this powerful organization, those foreign aliens who tried to hide in the Kunlun realm exposed their whereabouts one after another, and were pulled out and tortured by the strong men of the Immortal Alliance one by one. Now, the effect is very significant. Good, keep up the good work. Yi Junlin nodded and praised. Suddenly, in the dark, some special feeling came into his heart. What's going on? Yi Junlin subconsciously raised his head and looked at the sky. This is the feeling of being able to ascend. Qinglian Sword Immortal raised his head, his eyes showing surprise. Has the passage to the Immortal Land returned to normal? That's right. After several years, the Immortal Land passage that was broken in the past was officially repaired today. Chapter 433. C435 Immortal World. Even dogs don't go there. Fellow Taoists, the passage to the Immortal Realm has been opened. If anyone wants to ascend, hurry up and seize the opportunity. Immortal Realm, I did have high hopes for it before, but now I find that staying in Kunlun Realm is also quite good. Hey, fellow Taoists, we have the same opinion. Anyway, I can still become an immortal in Kunlun Realm, so why should I take the risk of ascending to the Immortal Realm? Yes, I think so too. With the restoration of the passage to the Immortal Realm, Kunlun Realm was like a pot of boiling water, and heated discussions filled the 5 major domains. You know, the Immortal Realm has always been the dream place of the cultivators in Kunlun Realm. Because of the decline of the cultivation environment before, the conditions for the birth of true immortals in Kunlun Realm are extremely harsh, so ascending to the Immortal Realm has become the ultimate wish of the cultivators of all generations. But now, the times have changed. As Kunlun Realm enters the stage of great recovery, becoming an immortal is no longer so far away. Moreover, ascending to the Immortal Realm means going to a strange place, where you are unfamiliar with the place and it is difficult to deal with without background. This is also why many cultivators, after sensing the restoration of the passage to the Immortal Land, were not particularly happy but rather somewhat repulsive. After all, in their eyes, the Immortal Land is no longer the only way to the immortal path. The road to the immortal is right under our feet. Why leave our homeland and go far away? This is the truest thought in the hearts of many cultivators today. Especially the group of revivers who awakened from ancient times, when they learned that the Immortal Land could ascend, they did not have any emotional fluctuations at all. The reason is very simple, they deliberately missed that opportunity and insisted on staying in Kunlun Realm that year. Therefore, the existence of the Immortal Land has almost no attraction to them at all. At this time, although the 5 major domains are very boiling on the surface, not many people are willing to ascend to the Immortal Land. Everyone's heart is like a mirror, and they see the current situation very clearly. Hey, the Immortal Land is too complicated, it's better for me to stay in Kunlun Realm, and I won't join in the fun. Qinglian Sword Immortal sighed with regret, but in fact he was unwilling to go to the Immortal Land. What a joke! The immortal world is full of bigwigs, and it is the gathering place of the real strong men in ancient Kunlun. Moreover, after so many years, the foundation of the immortal world must be more and more powerful. Why does he have to go to the immortal world to find a sense of existence? Isn't it good in Kunlun world? In fact, it is normal for Qinglian Sword Immortal to have this idea. Now he is the deputy leader of the Immortal Alliance, his status is second to one person and above millions of people. He is a sideways existence in the 5 major domains, and his combat power is also the top of this era. Absolutely full of style, it is very glorious wherever he goes. But if he goes to the immortal world, there will be too many people who can suppress him. The inner gap will be very big. Besides, compared with the immortal world, Kunlun world is currently just limited to the realm of the immortal emperor by the laws of heaven and earth. In terms of future development potential, as the eternal world of the past, it must be much stronger than the man-made immortal world. Whoever wants to go, go. But Yi Junlin didn't think so. When he learned that the passage to the immortal land had been restored, his mind suddenly became active. Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering the random task and successfully ascending to the immortal land. The number of immortal level laws rewarded has increased to 30 million. Closing square bracket. In his mind, the system prompt sounded. Yi Junlin's eyes lit up. If he had the power of 30 million laws when he was in the realm of immortals, then he would be able to obtain the crown of the immortal way of the great heavenly position when he was promoted to the immortal emperor in the future. He was far ahead at the starting line. This feeling is great. What's more, during this period of time, Yi Junlin was a little bored in the Kunlun realm. There was no opponent to compete with, and no one to get experience from. Unless he waited for the latecomers to catch up with him, it would be really boring here. However, now that the passage to the immortal land has returned to normal, it undoubtedly gave him an excellent opportunity to rise. In the immortal land, there are not only immortal level strongmen like him, but also immortal emperors who are high above. In this case, he must go. As his thoughts turned, Yi Junlin made up his mind and said seriously, "Old Qing, the immortal alliance will be handed over to you in the future. I plan to ascend to the immortal realm in the next 2 days." Ah, hearing this, Qinglian Sword Immortal's old face was full of shock. The strongest man in the world, the leader of the Immortal Alliance, the backbone of countless cultivators, actually chose to leave Kunlun and ascend to the immortal realm. This. Look at your expression, is there something wrong with my decision? Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Qinglian Sword Immortal looked reluctant and advised, "Leader Yi, there is actually nothing good in the immortal realm, why do you have to go all the way there?" "Old Qing, I have to criticize you for this," Yi Junlin said seriously. "Since the immortal realm is more challenging, why don't I go? As a cultivator of my generation, we should move forward." The tone was loud and powerful. Hearing this, Qinglian Sword Immortal felt his cheeks burning and was extremely ashamed. Compared with this young man, his ideological realm is really far behind. They are not afraid of challenges at all. Even the immortal world with many powerful people and high internal circulation is nothing in their eyes. Leader Yi is right. The Green Lotus Sword Immortal bowed deeply and said respectfully, "I'm grateful for your advice." Yes, Yi Junlin nodded with satisfaction. What he said just now was so convincing that even he himself believed it. "When I'm not here, you must manage the Immortal Alliance well and there must not be any mistakes, otherwise I will hold you responsible when I come back." "I obey your orders." The Green Lotus Sword Immortal looked solemn, feeling that he had shouldered an important mission and dared not relax at all. Soon, when Yi Junlin told the people around him about his ascension, everyone was very surprised. "Is it necessary to ascend to the immortal realm these days? I thought no one was willing to ascend, but I didn't expect that the first person to ascend was the strongest person in the world. Junior brother Yi, I beg you not to leave, don't leave." The leader of the Hidden Sword Peak flew over, hugged Yi Junlin's legs tightly, and howled emotionally. He looked very sad, but in fact he didn't shed a single tear. Seeing this, Yi Junlin's forehead was covered with black lines, and he said disdainfully, "Get up, the drama is a bit too much." The crying stopped abruptly. After the trick was exposed, the leader of Kangjian Peak stood up with a wry smile, scratched his head and said, "Indeed, I need to improve my acting skills." Pa! After that, he was slapped on the back of his head. The leader of Tianxiang Peak was very angry, and his almond eyes widened as he scolded, "Jian, why are you so crazy? Do you think it's fun?" That's right, the other leaders said with contempt. The leader of Kangjian Peak knew that he had become a clown, lowered his head and quietly retreated into the crowd, pouting in grievance. "It's just a whole life, why is there such a big reaction? He really has no sense of humor at all. Everyone, Yi Taisheng is not an ordinary person. It is understandable that he made this decision. We don't need to worry about him. Maybe he will become an immortal emperor when he comes back next time." Sect Master Shu Yunian said half-jokingly. "Well said," Yi Junlin smiled with appreciation. "There are reasons for being the sect master. Since master is going to the immortal world, let's go with him." Li Wuji suggested. I agree, Hong Chenyi nodded. After all, they were used to it. If they left this young man, they would feel that it was meaningless to stay here. Fellow Taoist Yi, I heard that you are going to the Immortal Land. After hearing the news from the Qinglian Sword Immortal, Go Buli hurried over in a hurry. What, are you going to go with us? Yi Junlin became interested. This dog thing, after all, was the watchdog of the Fuyao Empress in the past, and had dealt with many immortal emperors. If he ascended to the Immortal Land together, he must have a wide network of contacts. Who would have thought that Go Buli shook his head like a rattle? The Immortal Land is a place where even dogs don't go. Huh, as soon as these words came out, Yi Junlin's eyes became sharp. The air was filled with a biting cold, and the temperature instantly dropped to the lowest point. Everyone was so scared that their scalps numbed, and they looked at the yellow-haired old Taoist priest in disbelief, as if saying, "How dare you?" In an instant, Go Buli was sweating profusely, and he explained anxiously. Don't get me wrong, the dog I mentioned refers to me, which means I won't go." Hearing this, Yi Junlin frowned and pondered the previous sentence carefully. The other party's true form is a dog, so it seems that it is not wrong to say so. It seems that he thought too much. Be careful when you speak next time, Yi Junlin said seriously, with a strong warning in his tone. Yes. The oppressive feeling that enveloped him dissipated, and Go Buli felt much more relaxed. He was still in shock and was very scared. It was so close, it almost made it to the table. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumb speed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 434. C436 Ascend to the Immortal World. After the misunderstanding, the topic continued. When asked why he didn't go to the Immortal Land, Go Buli also told his reasons. Although he knew many top bosses before, the times have changed. Who in the Immortal Land is willing to give him face based on his identity as a follower of the Fuyao Queen? It's just asking for trouble. And Go Buli has no yearning for the Immortal Land. In his opinion, Kunlun Realm is his hometown. Fellow Taoist Yi, if you ascend to the Immortal Land, please take care of my people appropriately. After all, so many years have passed, and I don't know what the status of the Tiango tribe is in the Immortal Land. This token is given to you. As long as you show this token, the entire Tiango tribe will obey you. Go Buli took out a treasured golden token from his arms. There was a lifelike dog head on the token, which was inexplicably funny. Is this a dog tag? Yi Junlin took the dog head token and played with it in his hand with a strange look on his face. Since it was entrusted by a friend, it was a matter of convenience. Senior Yi, Li wants to go to the Immortal Land with you. At this time, Kanglang Jun, who was accompanying him, spoke. Yi Junlin was a little surprised. You, a guy who sells fakes, aren't you afraid of being hunted down there? Li Wuji joked. Kanglang Jun looked embarrassed. Little friend Li, this is wrong. It's been so long, who in the Immortal Land still remembers what I did? And the reason I want to go to the Immortal Land is to untie the knot in my heart. What do you mean? Yi Junlin asked curiously. Hey, Li cheated and deceived back then. In fact, he wanted to get more immortal crystals, so that his precious granddaughter could practice without worries from now on. Later, my reputation was too bad, and I was afraid of implicating my relatives, so I didn't follow the mainstream to migrate to the Immortal Land. But after so many years, I want to know whether my family is still there, and whether my granddaughter Tongtong is dead or alive. Kanglang Jun expressed his feelings in a depressed mood. Even now, he can still recall the lively and youthful little girl who called him grandpa with a well-behaved face. The most important thing is that his granddaughter has decent talent, and with the help of a large number of immortal crystals and elixirs, it is absolutely certain that she will become an immortal king in the future. But here comes the problem. To live from ancient times to the present, unless you seal yourself in the middle and fall into a long sleep, the lifespan of an immortal king alone cannot withstand consumption. Even if you reach the realm of immortal emperor, you have enough lifespan to survive these eternal years, but your soul will be eroded by time, and eventually decay and become a body without an owner. Only by reaching the realm of immortal venerable can you be qualified to survive until now. But how easy is it to reach the realm of immortal venerable? Even in the heyday of ancient Kunlun, the number of immortal venerables was very rare, and each of them was a giant of the immortal way with great power. And his Li family only had a few immortal kings, not even immortal emperors. Immortal venerable level figures are really unimaginable. Besides, there are too many variables in the middle, and Kanglang Jun is actually very unsure whether his granddaughter can survive. More of an obsession, he wants to return to his hometown to see the current situation of the Lee family. Kanglang Jun has even made the worst assumptions, and the Lee family of that year has long disappeared in the long river of history. This is extremely possible. You are an old man with bad morals, but I didn't expect you to be so sentimental. Yi Junlin sighed. Senior Yi, you can question my character, but I am very serious about this matter. Kanglang Jun smiled bitterly. Okay, you can go with me. Yi Junlin nodded in agreement. Master, there is me, there is me. At this time, a middle-parted teenager wearing black suspenders ran over, waving his hands excitedly. Such a classic modern costume is a reward given by the system for signing in a while ago. Yi Junlin thinks it is just right for a kun to wear it. This kind of dress is very similar to an old friend he met in his previous life. It makes people miss it. A kun ran to Yi Junlin and said nervously, Master, I want to go with you too, please don't leave me behind. Yi Junlin touched the boy's head and said with a smile, Don't worry, I will take you with me. Hee, that's good, that's it. The number of people traveling together has been confirmed. Yi Junlin is ready to choose an auspicious day to ascend to the Immortal Land. When this news spread, it caused an uproar outside. What? Alliance leader Yi is actually going to ascend to the Immortal Realm? No way, is the attraction of the Immortal Realm so great that even Alliance leader Yi is willing to give up everything he has now and choose to ascend? Don't talk nonsense, who is Alliance leader Yi? Can his realm of thought be the same as ours? He just wants to go to the Immortal Realm to find a bigger challenge. Dao Yu, what you said makes sense. After all, that person is on the road to invincibility. Since there is no opponent in the Kunlun realm, the goal is naturally placed on the Immortal Realm. Hey, this kind of realm of thought really makes me admire it. There were heated discussions everywhere, and they were all shocked that this peerless strongman was about to ascend to the Immortal Realm. After all, for many fanatical fans, Yi Junlin is the god in their hearts. Now that the god is about to leave, it is inevitable that there will be a feeling of loss. Not long, the deadline for ascension is coming. This is a good day determined by Go Buli, and it is absolutely unobstructed and smooth. On the top of a mountain, several figures stopped. The black-clad man at the head had his hands behind his back, his long silver hair like a waterfall hanging down to his waist, his handsome face, his eyes as bright as stars, and a chic temperament. Everyone, are you ready? Yi Junlin said seriously. Ready, everyone said in a deep voice. Then let's start. Then, Yi Junlin and the others calmed down and responded to the feeling. Swish, in the vast sky, a golden immortal light fell down, covering Yi Junlin and the others. Suddenly, the immortal music was lingering, the sky was full of flowers, and the scene was magnificent. It can be said that the special effects were full. All the cultivators of Xuantian sect respectfully send Yi Taisheng to ascend. Shu Union and the others bowed and said excitedly. Respectfully send off Senior Yi to ascend. As the first immortal sect in the eastern region, Xuantian sect has recruited more and more cultivators in recent years. At this moment, looking around, there are huge crowds of people. All the disciples and elders have tears in their eyes and bow together. Soon, the entire eastern region also shouted in unison, and the sound was like a tidal wave, shaking the earth. We respectfully send off Senior Yi to ascend. Regardless of their status, the cultivators bowed at this moment and shouted to the guiding immortal light. This phenomenon has also occurred in the other 4 regions. Hearing the farewells from all directions, Li Wuji showed an envious look. It's worthy of being the master, even ascending is so impressive. The immortal world, this seat is very interested. Hong Chenyi's eyes flickered, and the corners of his mouth raised an intriguing arc. He couldn't wait to stir up the situation in the immortal world where there are many strong people. Wow, everyone is flying so high. Bai Xiaoxi's eyes sparkled, and her young face showed a novelty. Watching the guiding immortal light gradually disappear from the field of vision, the cultivators of Kunlun realm all looked melancholy and a little sad. Because the only recognized strongest person in the world has left them. In the small courtyard, Lu Shu sighed. I am beginning to wonder what realm the next time I meet Island Master Yi will be in. At this time, in the plain channel leading to the Immortal Land, Yi Junlin and his friends felt a wonderful experience. Countless particles of light flowed around, like a large number of fireflies flying. There is no concept of time here, so I don't know how long it has passed. Rumble. Suddenly, the plain channel was shaking violently, as if it was about to collapse. Oh my god, we agreed on a good day, but what's going on now? Li Wuji's scalp was numb. Hasn't the channel been restored? Why did this happen? Kang Langjun was surprised. Everyone was frightened by the sudden change in the plane channel. If an accident occurs here, life or death may be uncertain. Tongzi, what's the situation? Yi Junlin frowned and asked the system in secret. Ding, because the realm of the host and several friends is too high, the newly repaired plane channel can hardly support this pressure, which will cause this unstable phenomenon. Closing square bracket. In his mind, the system prompt sounded. You mean, the channel will collapse? Yi Junlin was a little depressed. He should have waited a little longer. Ding, please rest assured, the plane channel is not that fragile, but you may be scattered because of it. Closing square bracket. As soon as the voice fell, Li Wuji and the others exclaimed. A white light suddenly appeared in front of them, firmly occupying everyone's vision, and a sharp explosion sounded in their ears, followed by a short deafness. When Yi Junlin opened his eyes again, he found that he had come to a beautiful place with mountains and clear waters. Is this the immortal realm? He frowned and looked around vigilantly. The immortal energy between heaven and earth was very rich, much stronger than the current Kunlun realm. The most important thing was that Yi Junlin felt very relaxed, without any signs of being suppressed. Because the environment of the immortal realm allowed immortal venerable creatures and even immortal emperors to move freely. It's just that the Tao here is more perfect, which will greatly weaken the power of each cultivator's move. For example, a true immortal who has just broken through to become an immortal can create a scene of destroying the world in his own small world with just a casual move, and can shatter thousands of mountains with a breath of immortal energy. But in the immortal realm where the Tao is extremely perfect, even if a true immortal cultivator uses all his strength, it is difficult to penetrate a boulder. This is the difference. Therefore, in the vast immortal realm, true immortals can only be regarded as ordinary civilians. As for the so-called powerful tribulation realm, here, they are barely qualified to be pets. In the endless years, many geniuses who ascended from the small world to the immortal world had to start from scratch in the immortal world, walking on thin ice. Those who are lucky can make a name for themselves, while those who are less lucky will be lost in the crowd and even lose their lives. This is the cruelty of reality. There is a saying that goes well that a cultivator who has gone through hardships will only become one of the 100,000 heavenly soldiers who encircle and suppress the Monkey King after ascending. True immortal, it is just the lowest threshold here. Yi, Senior Yi. As his thoughts fluctuated, Kang Langjun's voice sounded in the distance. After seeing the familiar figure, he rushed over with a face full of surprise. After all, if you are unfamiliar with the place, if you can follow a powerful backer, then there is naturally nothing to worry about. Where are the others? Yi Junlin asked hurriedly. I don't know. Kang Langjun spread his hands and said depressedly, I came here as soon as I opened my eyes. I don't know where they are going. Hearing this, Yi Junlin had to accept this sudden situation and said secretly. Sure enough, just as the system said, everyone will be separated during the ascension process. I hope his disciples can be safe in other places. Chapter 435. C437. You call this an ascender? Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the ascension mission, and the reward is that the immortal venerable level laws are upgraded to 30 million. Closing square bracket. The next second, the system prompt sounded in his mind. Fortunately, my efforts are rewarded. Yi Junlin sighed. Possessing 30 million immortal venerable level laws means that he will be able to obtain the immortal crown of the great heavenly rank after breaking through the immortal emperor in the future. He is definitely the first to take the lead. At this time, if other immortal venerables heard this, they would be so angry that they would spit blood and break their defense on the spot and curse Shameless. After all, most immortal venerables will find it difficult to break through the 10 million barrier throughout their lives, which means that they will never be able to become immortal emperors in this life. Only a small number of immortal emperors can cultivate tens of millions of laws and have the initial qualifications to become immortal emperors. As for the number of laws that can break through 20 million, they can approach the top of the pyramid of the immortal venerable realm. And this part of the immortal venerable level powerhouses will give up continuing to cultivate the power of laws and focus all their minds on improving their cultivation. Because the possibility of reaching 30 million laws is very small and the difficulty is extremely huge. Anyway, after breaking through the immortal emperor, they can have the crown of the immortal Tao of the middle heaven level, which is enough for them. Therefore, being able to cultivate the immortal venerable level laws to perfection is a feat that many immortal venerables dare not imagine. Result: Yi Junlin only ascended to the immortal realm once, and the number of laws was easily increased to 30 million. How can they not feel jealous? I am afraid that they want to die together. At this time, Kang Lang-jun asked cautiously, Senior Yi, what should we do next? Yi Junlin shrugged and said indifferently, what else can we do? Take it one step at a time. Hey, if there are kind people who can provide us with information about the immortal realm at this time. Kang Lang-jun sighed. After all, coming to a strange land, they are now like headless flies, and they have no idea which way to go. Suddenly, in the distant sky, several figures swooped down with their feet on the light of escape, and landed around Yi Junlin and Kang Lang-jun respectively, as if they were surrounding them. The tall man in the lead had a bandit-like face and grinned, hee, I just felt that there was some special energy fluctuation nearby, and I thought maybe it was the ascenders from the lower world, and it turned out that I guessed right. Brother Biao, we can capture these two people and take them to Juyong village as slaves. That's right, these cultivators who just ascended are the weakest true immortals, and they can't resist us at all. The other companions smiled cruelly. There is no doubt that they are all bandits, and in a sense, they are also called robbers. Yi Junlin was speechless. Is this immortal world so unfriendly to ascenders? As soon as they come up, they want to capture true immortals as slaves. Fortunately, I am the immortal venerable. Kang Lang-jun looked strange. These guys have a really good vision. Why did they capture them when they can't capture anyone else? Didn't Chun kick an iron plate, or the kind with steel spikes? Xiao Dezi, I'll leave this to you. Yi Junlin said lightly. The strongest of these robbery cultivators is only a Xuanxian, and it would be too expensive for him to take action personally. Yes, Kang Lang-jun nodded solemnly, and then looked at Gao Danan in his eyes, full of pity and sarcasm. Damn, what's the look in your eyes, you old man? Dig out his eyes. Gao Danan shouted angrily with an unhappy face. Boom, just when those companions were about to take action, a terrifying sense of oppression broke out and enveloped them. Fuck, Immortal King. Everyone's scalp almost exploded, their faces were full of disbelief, and their hearts almost jumped out of their chests. Kang Lang-jun released his own cultivation aura, which directly suppressed Gao Danan and his friends. Bang 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 bang. Under the terrible pressure of the top-level Immortal King, one after another, the heavenly immortal level tribulation cultivators exploded into blood mist. In the end, only the tall man in the Xuanxian realm was left. At this time, he was completely different from the arrogant and domineering attitude just now. Instead, he was trembling with fear, tears and snot were running down his face, and his face was full of fear, just like a mortal seeing a ghost. At this moment, no matter what exaggerated words were used, they could not describe the tall man's fucked up mood. I thought the other party was a true immortal who could be bullied at will, but he directly exposed his Immortal King level cultivation. It was like a small earthworm on the ground, suddenly transformed into a giant dragon soaring in the sky. No, you just ascended, how can you have such an outrageous cultivation? If Gao Danan knew that Yi Junlin was an immortal who was superior to countless immortals, he would probably faint from fear. Senior, spare me, I am blind. Gao Danan's heart collapsed and he cried. Where is this place? Tell the truth. When Kang Lang-jun asked this question with great momentum, he seemed to think of something and said with a meaningful smile, look at my memory, it is more practical to search the soul directly. Then, he stretched out his hand and placed it on the other's head. Start the rough soul search mode. Ah, Gao Danan felt that his brain was about to be sucked away, his eyes gradually turned white, and his whole body twitched. So that's it, After mastering all the information, Kang Lang-jun shook his sleeves with disgust, and Gao Danan was instantly reduced to ashes and dissipated in the air. Through soul searching, Lord Kang Lang knew that this person was extremely evil and liked to kill civilians for fun. He was a big scourge in the local area, so he killed him immediately. At the same time, he also learned about the relevant information about the immortal world. Xiao Dezi, what did you gain? Tell me, Yi Junlin said with interest. Replying to Senior Yi, it turns out that the immortal world is divided into 5 major immortal domains, namely Beihan Immortal Domain, Nanshan Immortal Domain, Dongsheng Immortal Domain, Zai's Immortal Domain, and Zongtu Immortal Domain. Each immortal domain has many large domains, and each large domain is further divided into countless states, and we are now in the Yusheng Domain in Beihan Immortal Domain, Fake State. Hearing this, Yi Junlin also learned about the information of the new map. Wait, Fake State. This place name is simply powerless to complain. As for the attack on us just now, it came from a bandit force called Juyong village entrenched thousands of miles away in the northwest. The owner of this mountain village has a cultivation level of the Immortal King realm. Lord Kang Lang reported truthfully. Immortal Lord, Yi Junlin said with a sigh. If it were any true immortal who had just ascended to the immortal Lord realm, they would definitely be scared to death when they heard the name of a powerful person, because compared with such a big man, the true immortal was as small as dust. Unfortunately, he was the immortal Lord. Forget it, this kind of force sounds like a bandit. I just arrived, so I will give a welcome gift to the people of Fakjo. Far away in the majestic mountains, a magnificent mountain village stands here. This is the notorious Juyong village. At this time, the mountain village was filled with shouts of fighting and killing. The Lord of Wanjian City is too much of a bully. He is actually sending troops to attack our Juyong village. Do you really think we will just sit there and wait for death? Fight them, fight. Looking around, there are so many of them. Every robbery cultivator is furious, holding their own magic weapons, ready to fight. Shut up. At the highest point, there is a middle-aged man with a body as strong as an iron tower, with veins on his forehead, and he shouted. The whole place was silent instantly. Because this man is the deputy village chief, his status is second only to the village chief, and he is in charge of all matters big and small on weekdays. What are you arguing about? The village chief is in seclusion to break through the realm. If there is any mistake, we can't afford it. The deputy village chief Lu Guan had a gloomy face and fierce eyes. Hearing this, when they thought of the little devil, they were frightened and silent. Lu Guan couldn't help looking at the village chief's throne, and his mood was particularly complicated. In fact, before that, he was the leader of Juyong village. Later, everything changed until that naughty kid appeared. The other party seemed very young, but his cultivation was higher than his, and he had a very bad temper, moody, and would kill people if he was not satisfied. For this, Lu Guan secretly complained in his heart, which made him feel like he was with a tiger. But fortunately, that naughty kid was very powerful. Not long after he took the throne of the leader, he swept through several other mountain villages in an invincible manner and completely unified the robbery forces in Fakjo. The momentum of Juyong village reached its peak. During this period, Lu Guan was in pain and happiness. Although he was very happy to see with his own eyes that the mountain village he founded had grown to this extent, it was uncomfortable to serve that naughty kid carefully like a grandson every day. Now, as a local giant force, Wanjian City, it felt that Juyong village was growing too fast and was a disaster, and wanted to get rid of it as soon as possible, so it organized an elite team to come and attack it in the past few days. It is rumored that the leader is the daughter of the Lord of Wanjian City. She has returned from a large sect and came here to relieve her father's worries and eliminate the local banditry. Report. A shout came from outside. What's the matter? Tell me. Lu Guan said coldly. A spy reported that the woman leading the Wanjian City team is probably an immortal king. When the subordinate said this, his eyes were full of fear. What? Lu Guan's face suddenly changed, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Immortal king. You know, Fake State is just a small place in the Yusheng domain, and an immortal king-level strongman can be the king here. If it is an immortal king, it is tantamount to a real dragon emerging from a pond. However, the daughter of the Lord of Wanjian City is suspected to be an immortal king-level combat power, which is a disaster for Juyong village. In an instant, everyone looked ashen and could not muster the slightest desire to fight. Is my Juyong village really going to be finished? Lu Guan muttered absent-mindedly. Boom, just then. From the cave in the deepest part of Juyong village, a shocking and terrifying aura came, accompanied by the evil laughter of the naughty child, which continued to echo over the mountains. He, I've done it. Chapter 436. C438 Little Devil. Feeling the terrifying aura of the immortal king, Lu Guan was stunned at first, then he was overjoyed and said. Brothers, the village chief has come out of retreat. Shua, a child's figure appeared in the hall in an instant, sitting on the village chief's throne. The terrifying sense of oppression spread like a tide, frightening the monks to kneel on the ground in fear, saying in awe. We are here to see the village chief. It was a child with pigtails, a childish face, and a red cloak. There was a mark of fire between his eyebrows, his eyes had a rebellious look that was not in line with his age, and a very ostentatious smile at the corner of his mouth. He sat on the village chief's throne with his legs crossed, looking complacent and proud. The first impression he gave people was that of a troublemaking and unreasonable kid. I am now an immortal king. Who else in this land can be my enemy? Whoever I want to die must die. The young voice echoed clearly in Juyong village with arrogance. His name is Su Huoling, and he just turned 7 this year. It is conceivable that if the news of a 7-year-old immortal king spreads out, it will definitely cause a sensation in the entire Beihan immortal domain. As for why Su Huoling's cultivation talent is so exaggerated, it is mainly because his biological mother was pregnant for a full 800 years before giving birth to him. Such a rare immortal fetus in the world also caused his biological mother to be sucked dry of her life essence and die when he was born. Su Huoling was born in the realm of heavenly immortals. He not only has immortal fire spiritual roots, but also a rare heavenly fire immortal body. He is a well-deserved darling of the avenue. Due to his extraordinary birth and physical condition, Su Huoling has a hot temper and a domineering personality since he was a child. He was given the title of Little Mixed World Demon King in the sect. Although he frequently got into trouble when he was young, causing chaos in the sect, his father could not bear to blame him and had to turn a blind eye. Until 2 years ago, Su Huoling suddenly had an idea and tied up a couple in the sect, threw them into a black pot and roasted them until they were cooked, under the pretext of making a real brothel. When this insane evil act was exposed, public opinion fermented wildly in the sect, causing protests and dissatisfaction from many disciples and elders. Under desperation, Su Huoling's father stepped in and locked up the naughty child for several months. After coming out, Su Huoling was very angry and felt that it was a great shame, so he left the sect in a huff and went to the neighboring Yusheng domain. After leaving the sect, Su Huoling was like a little devil who had lost his restraints. He completely released his nature and committed all kinds of evil along the way, burning, killing and looting. Countless people died because of him. After coming to Fat Province, Su Huoling wanted to do something new, so he set his sights on one of the famous local robbery forces, Juyong Village. With his powerful strength, Su Huoling sat on the throne of the new village master without any effort, and began to realize his ambition to be king. Soon, Juyong Village annexed several other large villages and became a terrifying robbery holy land in Fat Province, making countless righteous cultivators tremble. For Su Huoling, who has a perverse temperament and loves to play, all this is just a game. Now, Su Huoling's cultivation has increased greatly, and he has become a strong man in the realm of the immortal king, which makes his heart swell even more. You know, even in his father's Lihuo Shanzong, the realm of the immortal king can serve as the position of the inner door elder, with high power, and he reached it at the age of 7. How can he not feel awesome? In this regard, Su Huoling was looking forward to it very much. He felt that if he continued to grow up, he would sooner or later replace his father, the old bastard. When the time came, he would return to the sect and play however he wanted, and no one could control him. At this time, Su Huoling noticed that the atmosphere was a bit strange. He slapped the armrest and pretended to be an adult, and shouted angrily. "Asshole, are you hiding something from this village owner? Tell the truth, or I will burn you to death." The words were extremely fierce. Reply to the village owner, "Just now I received news that Wanjian City sent an elite team to attack our Juyong village. The leader is the daughter of the city lord of Wanjian City. It is said that she is also an immortal king." Feeling that the temperament of this bear child was getting more and more perverse, Lu Guanqiang suppressed his inner fear and explained with a stiff face. "What, there is such a thing?" Hearing this news, Su Huoling's eyes burst into anger, and wisps of green smoke came out of his forehead. In this day and age, someone actually dared to take the initiative to trouble him. That bitch is so bold. If I hadn't broken through to the immortal king, she might have succeeded. Damn it, damn it. Su Huoling was very excited, and his young face was full of murderous intent. Calm down, village chief. Now that you are in the realm of the immortal king, you don't have to be afraid of that bitch. As long as you give the order, the brothers will go out of the village to meet the enemy immediately. Lu Guan clasped his fists. Hee, of course I'm not afraid. When that bitch falls into my hands, I will torture her. I have thought of more novel ways to play, Su Huoling said with an evil smile. It's hard to imagine that he is only 7 years old this year, and his mind is completely inconsistent with his age. Village chief, if you are tired of playing, can you give that bitch to the brothers? After all, she is an immortal king, and the brothers haven't tried it yet. Lu Guan thought of something and plucked up the courage to say tentatively. Su Huoling looked playful. You adults always want to do weird things. Don't worry, I'll give it to you when I get tired of it, but as long as you can accept her horrible appearance, it'll be fine. The tone was meaningful, which made the brothers below feel cold on their backs. Well, then I would like to thank the village chief for his kindness. Lu Guan couldn't help but feel his scalp tingling, and smiled awkwardly. When he thought that the woman would end up looking disgusting, his desire for the flesh suddenly diminished a lot. It's really a child, what a waste. At this time, Outside, a clear female voice like an oriole sounded, with an unquestionable meaning, and it was heard by every cultivator in Juyong village. Listen, the bandits inside, your death is coming. I, Tang Yao Yao, will enforce justice today and eradicate Juyong village. In front of the mountain village, a well-equipped team of the city lord's mansion was ready to go, with flags fluttering. The leader was a girl wearing a green gauze skirt, with a slim figure and skin like cream. She held a 3-foot green sword in her hand, pointing the sword in the direction of Juyong village, and her pretty face was full of confidence. The monks from the city lord's mansion who were following behind her showed admiration. The eldest lady is so impressive. With her coming out in person this time, the robbers from Juyong village will definitely have no chance of survival. Juyong village has been expanding wildly over the past year, always harassing the caravans from Wanjian city. The city lord is so anxious that he is in a state of panic. Now that the eldest lady has returned from her training and is eliminating harm for the people from all over the country can finally rest assured. Follow the eldest lady and kill all these evil bandits. The people shouted with high morale. Just as Tang Yao Yao was about to order an attack on the village, a rather childish and rampant laugh came from Juyong village. Above the mountain village, a child wearing a red cloak and pigtails appeared like a little devil. He looked at Tang Yao Yao with a playful look, as if he was looking at a toy that was about to be in his hands. Seeing this, Tang Yao Yao frowned. How can there be a child in Juyong village, where so many evil people gather? You little girl, you are quite pretty, would you consider becoming my bed warmer? Seeing that Tang Yao Yao was pretty, Su Huoling changed his mind and said with a wicked smile. Hearing this, Tang Yao Yao's pretty face showed a trace of shame and anger. She was actually teased by a child whose hair had not even grown up. Whose child are you? You are so rude, didn't your parents teach you well? Su Huoling put his hands on his waist and scolded confidently. You bitch, you deliberately came to attack my village, and you dare to teach me a lesson. What? You are the leader of Juyong village? Tang Yao Yao was stunned. This child looks about 7 or 8 years old. Isn't it said that the leader of Juyong village is a burly middle-aged man? It is obvious that Wanjian city is delayed in information. That's right, I am the village chief. You are so pretty that you are qualified to be my bed warmer. If you serve me well, I can consider sparing your life. Su Huoling raised his chin and said arrogantly. His tone was high and mighty, and there was a feeling of grace. Well said. Lu Guan gave a thumbs up and flattered. Countless robbery cultivators seemed to have been injected with chicken blood, and they shouted that the village chief was mighty. Seeing this absurd scene, Tang Yao Yao was so angry that her body was shaking. Is this still a child? It's just a little devil. Today, this girl will flatten the Juyong village and leave no one alive. When she said this, Tang Yao Yao's momentum rose steadily, and a surging breath of the immortal king level spread. Suddenly, dust flew and the wind blew violently. Is this the momentum of the immortal king? So powerful, the cultivators of the city lord's mansion said excitedly. Fake state is just an inconspicuous place in Yusheng domain, and a powerful immortal king can be the king. And the immortal king, in their eyes, is even more powerful. Now, the daughter of the city lord is in the realm of immortal king, which also indicates that the status of Wanjian city will rise. Village owner, Lu Guan said in fear. What are you afraid of? She is an immortal king, and so am I. Su Huoling was not afraid, with a contemptuous smile on his face. Boom! A volcanic eruption of momentum rushed into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds for hundreds of miles. Su Huoling stepped on the void, holding a red tassel spear, and his whole body was filled with a terrifying sense of oppression. In terms of momentum, it is far stronger than Tang Yao Yao. How is it possible? Tang Yao Yao was pale and unbelievable. This child who looks like 7 or 8 years old is also an immortal king. Could it be that he has been practicing since his mother's womb? You are frightened by my masculinity, right? I will take good care of you next time. Su Huoling's smile became more evil and chilling. With his innate strength, he can easily fight against a top-level immortal king. What's more, it's a bastard like Tang Yao Yao. Just when the battle was about to break out, the sky above Juyong village suddenly rang with the sound of thunder, as if the whole sky was about to collapse, and the rumbling sound was endless and the momentum was extremely scary. In an instant, a vast pressure like the sea enveloped this mountain range, and countless robbery cultivators who were clamoring to start a war suddenly felt cold as if they fell into the abyss, and the fear in their eyes almost overflowed. What's going on? Lu Guan's scalp exploded, and he looked up with horror on his face. His pupils suddenly shrank into needles, as if he saw a terrible scene that he would never see in this life. Swish! Above their heads, a giant hand like a god condensed and emitted a blazing golden halo that even eclipsed the sun. At this moment, the tiny Juyong village seemed so insignificant under this huge hand that covered the sky. Who is it? Su Huoling was unable to move, her little face staring with horror, her whole body shaking like a sieve, the fear in her body flooding like a flood. An immature thought flashed through her mind. Could it be the legendary god who made the move? Chapter 437. C439 scared to death. Oh my god. The sudden scene made Tang Yaoyao freeze in place, stunned. Where did the terrifying hand come from? Why did it feel like the hand of God, which could easily destroy everything in the world? At this moment, countless monks were terrified, looking at the golden hand that appeared out of thin air, their eyes full of fear. Boom! In an instant, the vast golden hand fell from the sky, carrying an unparalleled terrifying power and pressing down. No! Lu Guan and the others shouted in despair. The crisis of death swept through his heart, and Su Huoling was so scared that he shouted, God, I swear I will never dare to do it again. This naughty child subconsciously thought that he had done so many bad things that even God couldn't stand it and wanted to kill him. Feeling a strong threat from outside, Su Huoling's eyebrows began to heat up, and the strange flame mark on it burst into a blazing red light. Roar! The high-pitched dragon roar resounded through the sky. The power sealed in it was completely released, turning into a fire dragon burning with anger, filled with monstrous divine power, soaring out with fangs and claws, rushing towards the golden hand that was about to hit the sky. This is what my father left for me, Su Huoling said in surprise. That's right. Su Huoling's father once used his great magical power to seal a monstrous force that was enough to kill the supreme immortal emperor on the flame mark on his forehead. It would only be triggered when his life was threatened. This shows how much the leader of the Lihuo immortal sect loves and values his children. After all, this is a child of destiny who is expected to become an immortal master or even an immortal emperor in the future. Who would have thought that the huge and ferocious fire dragon was extinguished by the vast golden hand? It couldn't even block it. Witnessing this scene, Su Huoling was completely desperate, with a great sense of fear in his heart, tears and snot flowing down, crying. God, please let me go, I won't dare to do it again, woo woo. What's funny is that the little devil who used to take human lives lightly was frightened and cried for mercy at this moment, regretting his actions. Boom! When this golden hand, like a god, fell heavily on the mountain range where Juyong village was located, a shocking explosion broke out instantly, and the ground within a radius of thousands of miles was shaking violently, as if an unprecedented earthquake had occurred. The terrifying air waves swept like a storm and spread in all directions. Ah! The monks of the city lord's mansion were shocked and flew backwards, spitting blood and falling into a coma. Even the immortal King Tang Yaoyao was struck by lightning, staggering and slumping on the ground, with her mouth wide open enough to fit an ostrich egg. Her heart was like a storm, because she had never seen such a horrifying scene in her life. When the huge rumbling sound gradually subsided, the thick dust and smoke dissipated. Where is the Juyong village? Not to mention the entire village, even the originally majestic mountains were wiped out in this catastrophe. If you look down from above at this time, you will be surprised to find that it is a bottomless supergiant palm print. The scene is very shocking. Tang Yaoyao was numb. What kind of power is this against the sky? The power of a palm is so terrifying. This palm method that fell from the sky, is it really the work of God? Tang Yaoyao couldn't calm down her inner emotions and said with difficulty. Suddenly, she seemed to notice something, lowered her head and took a look, and her beautiful and refined face flushed red. Under the skirt, a large urine stain was extremely eye-catching. Obviously, she was scared to pee. Tang Yaoyao quickly looked around and found that no one saw her embarrassing appearance, so she breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, her image can still be maintained. I have to go back and report this to my master immediately. Tang Yaoyao stood up with a blushing face, tidied her clothes, and turned into a blue rainbow and flew towards Wanjian City. After a while, the unconscious people woke up slowly, and when they saw the scene in front of them, they were shocked and blurted out. Fuck, these two short words perfectly explained their mood at the moment. Big, where is the eldest lady? A male monk looked around and said in surprise. She should have gone back early. After all, even we are fine, so the eldest lady must be fine too. Another companion said with certainty. That's right, let's go back and report the strange things that happened today to the city. Who do you think is the owner of that golden hand? Could it be that God really took action? Who knows, but it's not surprising that Juyong village has attracted divine punishment for the dirty things it has done. That's right, it's a good thing that those villains died. Then, the monks of the city lord's mansion couldn't wait to return the same way. At the same time, an old and a young figure appeared near Wanjian City. That's the nearest ancient city, and it's also the largest immortal cultivation city in Faczhou. Kanglang Jun, who deliberately lagged behind by half a step, said respectfully. Wanjian City, this name is good. Yi Junlin looked at the three big characters on the city gate and nodded in appreciation. Just now, he deliberately took action to destroy Juyong village. As for Su Huoling's death, Yi Junlin didn't take it to heart at all. To him, it was just an ant. Senior Yi, how about we go in and take a look? Let's go in and have a look. Immediately afterwards, the two men blended into Wanjian City silently, bypassing the city defending monks who were checking the way. Even the formation responsible for detecting the aura showed no reaction. With their level of cultivation, it would be too easy to muddle through. Far away in the Guluo region, in the meeting hall of the Lihuo immortal sect, a middle-aged man with a red face and red hair and beard, wearing a fire unicorn holy robe, was standing at the highest point with his hands behind his back, discussing important matters with many elders below. This middle-aged man with a strange appearance is known as the Burning Heaven Immortal Lord by the outside world, and he is also the longest reigning leader of the Lihuo immortal sect. The word, Shanzun, explains everything. Because of the presence of the Burning Heaven Immortal Lord, the Lihuo immortal sect became extremely powerful in the Guluo territory and became the top force with the highest status. After all, how rare are the immortal level experts? Looking at the vast immortal world, they are only a handful of people, and every one of them is a well-deserved giant of the immortal way. Therefore, it is not difficult to explain the transcendence of Lihuo immortal sect. Even in the entire northern Han immortal territory, they are ranked among the best. Sudden, Burning Heaven Immortal Lord seemed to sense something, and his whole body froze in place as if a immobilization technique had been cast on him. His eyes looked unbelievable at first, then veins popped out on his forehead, his red hair burned like a fire, and he raised his head and let out a hysterical roar. Ah, rumble. The roar contained endless sorrow and anger, as well as a strong murderous intention, making the entire Lihuo immortal sect tremble. Countless disciples and elders were so frightened that they fell to their knees. They were filled with fear and felt as if the sky was about to fall. It is no exaggeration to say that in the Guluo territory, that man is heaven. Now, God is angry. What on earth is going on? Chapter 438. C440 I think you're going to have a bloody disaster. Zong, sect master, what are you? An elder bravely tried to test the situation carefully. Burning Heaven Immortal Lord was filled with terrifying arrogance, and his furious face was extremely ferocious. He squeezed out a sentence through his teeth, just now, my son died. What? Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe the sudden and explosive news. They knew that their sect master doted on Su Huoling and loved her as if he were his heart. After all, Su Huoling has demonstrated his miraculous powers since he was born, and even more so after he was born. His cultivation speed is unheard of, which has shocked countless sect disciples. It's a pity that this naughty kid has a bad temper and a moody temperament. He often uses his status to cause trouble in the sect and causes chaos. But his talent is too dazzling, and his own value is extremely high. Everyone knows that if this son continues to grow, he will even surpass the sect master in the future and achieve the position of immortal emperor. It is precisely because of this that Burning Heaven Immortal Lord is also very indulgent towards his child. He is usually reluctant to beat or scold him. Even if he commits a bad offense, he will just let him face the wall for a few months. Result, under such strong protection, that naughty kid Su Huoling actually died. Thinking of the consequences of this incident, the elders couldn't help but sweat dripping down their backs. They knelt on the ground and trembled, swallowing hard. At this time, no matter what words are used, it is difficult to describe the mood of Burning Heaven Immortal Lord. Regarding the death of his precious son, his heart hurt like a knife and was dripping with blood. It hurts so much. It hurt so much that I couldn't breathe. That is the Qilin son of his Su family, the hope for the future of the entire Lihuo immortal sect. In the future, let alone surpassing him as a father, it is very possible to even become the immortal emperor. Who would have thought that a generation of unparalleled talent would be killed like this? Burning Heaven Immortal Master suppressed the grief in his heart and began to deduce various signs before Su Huoling's death. Burning Heaven Immortal Lord actually knew very well that Su Huoling sneaked out in anger. The reason why he did not catch him immediately was mainly because he was afraid that the conflict between father and son would deepen. Moreover, in the place where Su Huoling went, the level of monks was generally very low. With the power he sealed, even the most powerful immortal emperor could be killed. In terms of safety, there is absolutely no problem. Burning Heaven Immortal Lord thought that when Su Huoling got tired of playing, it would be a good time to bring him back. As for the group of innocent people outside who died because of Su Huoling, they were just humble ants in his eyes. Before they die, being able to vent their children is already the greatest honor in their lives. But the question is, in that remote and backward little place, who is capable of killing his child? During the deduction process, he saw various blurry pictures, including the Nine-Yang village, the Wanjian city team, and at the end, the big golden hand that covered the sky and filled the sun with a sense of oppression. Until the big golden hand fell and the scene was shattered. For a moment, Burning Heaven Immortal Lord seemed to be able to hear his child's desperate screams, which made his heart twitch violently. Who is the owner of that big hand? Burning Heaven Immortal Lord's eyes were full of murderous intent, and he could faintly smell the smell of conspiracy. He had some doubts. Could it be that there were other immortal level experts who had secretly targeted Su Huoling when he was out and killed him to avoid future troubles? However, regarding Su Huoling's evil nature, he had long ago ordered the entire Lihuo immortal sect not to leak it to the outside world. The outside world still has no idea about it, and when Su Huoling left, he personally blocked it. All secrets, even the immortal lord can hardly deduce the traces. Regarding the confidentiality work, Burning Heaven Immortal Lord believes that he has done the best, and there is no possibility of being targeted by his enemies. So, what link went wrong that led to such a horrific murder? Burning Heaven Immortal Lord was puzzled and felt that this matter was very strange, and the truth was shrouded in fog. He never imagined that it was actually someone who did it conveniently. No matter what, I have to go there myself. If I don't get the result I want, all the creatures in that place will have to die with my son. As his thoughts turned, Burning Heaven Immortal Lord's eyes burst out with a cold light that split the sky, and his whole body released a terrifying pressure that belonged to the Immortal Lord level. The next second, he disappeared from the same place, and when he reappeared, he was thousands of miles away. Go straight to the Yusheng domain next door. Rumble. There is no light from the sun and the moon, and the sky collapses and the earth breaks apart. Because the Burning Heaven Immortal Lord did not deliberately hide his monstrous secrets, the powerful men in the Guluo domain were frightened. They did not know why the leader of the Lihuo immortal sect was angry. That is an immortal. If an immortal giant of this level were angry, the world would be unable to bear the consequences. In this regard, countless people can already predict the horrific killings that Burning Heaven Immortal Lord will cause this time. Wanjian City. Yi Junlin put his hands on his back and walked leisurely on the street, looking at the new things around him with interest. And Lord Kanglang was like a servant, following every step with his hands down. For those who didn't know, they thought it was a young man from a certain aristocratic family who was traveling with his servants following behind him. The streets are very wide, with row upon row of shops, crowded with people, and very lively. It can be seen that this ancient city is very prosperous. Sudden, a man wearing a blue Taoist robe and a Taoist scarf, with a slightly wretched look and triangular eyes, sat on the stall and twirled his beard, pretending to be mysterious, and said loudly, fortune telling, to avoid disaster and bring good luck, no money if it doesn't work, I am the only heir of Tianji sect, if you miss this opportunity, you will miss it. But the monks passing by were too lazy to pay attention to him, and some even cast contemptuous eyes. Tianji pretended not to care on the surface, but actually cursed in his heart. Damn, today is too unlucky, not a single order. At this time, he saw an extremely eye-catching silver-haired figure in the crowd. That temperament and appearance are definitely unprecedented. Could it be a young man from aristocratic family who came here to travel? Thinking of this, Tianji took the initiative to attack, with a warm smile on his face. I am Tianji, can this young man tell a fortune? If it doesn't work, no money, but if it works, you can give me some money. Kanglang Jun frowned, just about to let this liar go away, but unexpectedly Yi Junlin showed some interest and said with a smile. Okay, you can tell me a fortune for me, what will happen to me in the future? Okay, Tianji was overjoyed. As expected, this young man from aristocratic family was easy to talk to. Then, he asked about Yi Junlin's birth date, then closed his eyes and began to count carefully with his fingers, exuding an extremely mysterious aura. Kanglang Jun originally thought that the other party was a liar, but when he saw this, his heart suddenly trembled. It seems to be something. Yi Junlin stroked his chin and looked carefully. He vaguely felt that the other party was not as simple as he looked. Gradually, beads of sweat appeared on Tianji's forehead, his eyelids were trembling, and some terrible scenes appeared in his mind. Wow! Finally, Tianji suddenly opened his eyes, spit out a mouthful of blood, and staggered to the ground, holding his chest. He looked at Yi Junlin in disbelief, stretched out his hand and pointed at him tremblingly. You have a blood disaster. Chapter 439. C441. Isn't this a coincidence? Yi Junlin, you've been playing tricks for a long time and you've come to this conclusion. Kanglang Jun sneered, as expected, no one like this kind of fortune teller is reliable, but the acting seems to be like that. In his opinion, it was purely funny for Tianji to say that Yi Junlin was in a bloody disaster. After all, there is no doubt about the strength of this young man. He is unprecedentedly powerful and has conquered all enemies in the Kunlun world. There can be no threat at all that can endanger his life. The talk of a bloody disaster is pure nonsense. But no one could understand how panicked Tianji felt at this time. The eyes he looked at Yi Junlin were full of deep fear. It's like looking at the god of plague. In the eyes of other monks, Tianji was just a half-assed fortune teller and a bad fortune teller. This is not the case. Tianji came out relatively late and has not yet become famous. He has real abilities. While deducing the future for Yi Junlin, Tianji saw a terrifying picture that he had never seen before. It was a terrifying figure with monstrous arrogance, and the fury it released was enough to burn the entire Fox state, and countless creatures were wiped out in the fire. As for the factors behind all this, they all point to the silver-haired young man in front of him. Isn't this a bloody disaster? Tianji really didn't expect that he would encounter such a unique evil star after finally placing an order today. What a sin, Master, you'd better eat and drink as soon as possible. If you wait any longer, you won't have a chance. Tianji persuaded out of good intentions. Well, Yi Junlin had several black lines hanging on his forehead. Is there something wrong? If you tell people's fortunes like this, aren't you afraid of being beaten to death someday? It seems like he is really a liar. Yi Junlin shook his head boredly and walked straight past Tianji. Don't follow me. Kanglang Jun glanced at Tianji with disdain and warned him not to continue to entangle, otherwise the consequences would be serious. Looking at the young man's back fading away, Tianji sighed helplessly. Hey, it's hard to persuade the damn ghost with so many words. Anyway, I said everything I needed to say, with a clear conscience. Thinking of the disaster he was about to face, Tianji hurriedly ran to clean up the stall, eager to leave this place of right and wrong. Avoid falling victim to the flames of war. What does the life and death of others have to do with me? It's good if I can save my life. I hope everything comes in time. Then, in the weird eyes of the monks along the way, Tianji Sayazi ran wildly on the street, looking like he was fleeing. In the distance, Kanglang Jun said angrily, Senior Yi, that stinky fortune teller just now is really too much. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Why don't you let me go back and teach him a lesson so that this kind of liar can remember him better? Yi Junlin waved his hand and said in a nonchalant tone, No need, I just want to make a living. Senior Yi is open-minded, but Li is narrow-minded. Kanglang Jun looked a little ashamed. Longmen Inn. Suddenly, Yi Junlin's eyes were attracted to an inn next to him. Seeing the familiar style and name of the inn, his expression showed surprise. I still remember that in the eastern region of Kunlun realm, he and his disciples once stayed at the Dragon Gate Inn. They encountered an attack from aliens that night. It was also the place where Yaowang Valley stayed before the opening of the Yaowang Valley. Who would have imagined that after arriving in the immortal world, I would see this familiar inn again? Yi Junlin suddenly understood that it turned out that Longmen Inn had already opened to the Immortaland, and it was a veritable chain store. Senior Yi, what happened to this inn? Kanglang Jun asked doubtfully. It's okay, I just want to go in and have something to eat. Yi Junlin had a smile on his face. Stepping into Longmen Inn and looking around, the identical decoration style made Yi Junlin feel an inexplicable sense of intimacy. This couldn't help but remind him of the past. This young man, should I stay in a hotel for a job? The waiter ran over quickly and said enthusiastically. Tip it to the top. Yi Junlin randomly found a place to sit down, then picked up the menu and picked out the most expensive ones. The waiter took it and looked at it, his smile became even brighter. Sir, please wait a moment. Yi Junlin sat calmly and tapped his fingers lightly on the table. Although he was in the same inn, his disciples were not around. Thinking about it carefully, he really felt nostalgic. After a while, all the dishes were served, and Yi Junlin and Kanglang Jun started to use their chopsticks. This plate of meat is quite delicious. Yes, it's much more delicious than the meat I've eaten before. The two couldn't help but comment. The waiter laughed and said, the two guests are joking. The dog meat on this plate comes from the Tengu tribe. After being cooked by our professional immortal chef, how can this meat not be delicious? Oh my god, the Tengu clan. Yi Junlin and Kanglangjun looked at each other, and each other could see the look of surprise on their faces. After all, Gubuli is from the Tengu clan, and his compatriots were reduced to dishes. At this time, Kanglangjun was very embarrassed. He wanted to spit out the meat in his mouth, but he had already eaten it before. Is it necessary to spit it out again? What's more, this dog meat is really delicious. After constant inner struggle, Kanglangjun swallowed the dog meat in his mouth with tears. Don't say anything, this is the last piece. Yi Junlin put down his chopsticks with his mouth twitching, feeling inexplicably guilty in his heart. Lao Go, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to eat your people. You know, when Yi Junlin ascended, Gubuli entrusted him to help take care of the Tengu clan, and solemnly gave him a dog head token so that he could command the Tengu clan. As a result, when he saw the indifferent tribesmen, it turned out to be this way. What kind of hellish joke is this? Shower, let me ask you, isn't the Tengu clan a very high-status person today? There was also a big shot who followed Empress Fuyao in our ancestors. How come they have fallen to this level now? Yi Junlin adjusted his condition and asked seriously. Hear the words. The waiter was stunned, looking at Yi Junlin with strange eyes. Sir, your question is really interesting. Everyone in the immortal world knows that the Tengu clan has been lonely for a long time. So what if the ancestors were glorious? I just heard that since the absence of Empress Fuyao, the Tengu clan has no one to rely on. After several battles, the clan's masters have suffered a lot of losses, and it has gone downhill over time. The current Tengu clan has completely lost its aura of the past. At most, it is only a little stronger than the ordinary demon clan. But even a species like the dragon can be reduced to a delicacy on the table. How can a lonely Tengu clan be so good? Where to go? These words made Yi Junlin and Kanglangjun fall into silence. It's really the fate of the dog. I didn't expect that the same kind of people who ignored me would live in such a miserable state in the immortal world. Then you cooks, do you still have a living Tengu? I can buy it for a big price. Yi Junlin thought about it and decided to save everyone he could, not out of sympathy, but out of the friendship of a good friend. The waiter looked embarrassed. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. I'm asking you a question. Mr. Kanglang suddenly blew his beard and glared, stretched out his big hand to grab the waiter's shoulder, and released a terrifying aura from his body. Immortal king. The waiter was so frightened that his legs were weak, he was sweating profusely, and his eyes showed fear. In this land where the immortal king is respected, he knows very well what an immortal king represents. Moreover, the appearance of this old man was obviously led by this young man. The waiter subconsciously thought of the rumored master and servant duo from an immortal family. The background is awesome, he is just a part-time worker and cannot afford to offend. At the same time, the monks in charge of security at the inn saw this and were about to rush out to stop Kanglangjun. However, after feeling the immortal king level aura, they were so frightened that they turned around and left, pretending not to see. 3,000 low-grade immortal crystals in a month, what kind of fate are you playing with? Now, can you say it? Yi Junlin said pleasantly. The waiter broke into a cold sweat and muttered, I told you, I will definitely tell you everything I know. Speak quickly. Mr. Kanglang then let go of the waiter. Actually, this is the last portion for you. This type of dog meat is difficult to obtain. Moreover, we purchased the frozen meat through special channels at a high price and preheated it. The waiter didn't dare to hide it, he said weakly. Yi Junlin frowned. If they are co-authored and sent here, they will die. Then save the yarn. It's none of your business, this is meal money. Yi Junlin took out a bag and threw it on the table. There is no need for him to rely on his cultivation to eat the king's meal. The waiter looked confused and wanted to look at his shopkeeper for advice, but instead he was lying on the counter pretending to sleep. Just take it. Mr. Kanglang stuffed the purse directly, waved his hand and said, don't bother us if you have nothing to do. Hey, yes. The waiter in the shop quickly accepted it, rubbed oil on his soles and left. At this moment, all the monks in the inn were so frightened that they did not dare to breathe. Their conversations were much quieter, for fear of disturbing those two people. Actually, this dog meat would be more delicious if it was handled by my second apprentice. Yi Junlin thought of something and said seriously. Miss Bai's cooking skills are beyond words. Kanglangjun sighed. Because they were from the Tengu clan, they deliberately avoided the dog meat on their plates when they ate. Just as the atmosphere was gradually relaxing, a woman with disheveled hair and a slovenly white skirt, carrying a vermilion wine gourd, her beautiful face flushed with drunkenness, walked into the Longmen Inn with frivolous steps. Her hot figure is very eye-catching, with a curved front and a curved back, especially her long legs as white as jade, which are also covered with white stockings as thin as cicadas, which are just right. For a time, it attracted the attention of many old people in the inn. Their eyes were full of passion. Chapter 440. C442. A familiar female gangster. This immortal, are you here for a night or staying at the hotel? The waiter hurried over, trying to take advantage of the opportunity by supporting her. As a result, when he approached the woman in white, he was knocked back by an invisible force. Ouch! The waiter fell backwards, his head buzzing, and he grimaced in pain. Then, the woman in white was drunk, holding the vermilion gourd and pouring wine into her mouth. Her body swayed back and forth, as if she would fall to the ground in the next second. Those male monks who wanted to chat up were bounced back before they got half a meter close. Their bones seemed to be falling apart, and they looked at the woman in white with fear. They realized that the other party was definitely not easy to provoke. Suddenly, the woman in white noticed Yi Junlin, or to be more precise, she was attracted by the delicious food on the table. Her blurred eyes widened instantly, emitting a sparkling light. Then, in the astonished eyes of the crowd, he walked straight to Yi Junlin's seat. This immortal, Kanglang Jun hurriedly stood up to stop him, but he didn't expect that in an instant, he was firmly suppressed by an invisible breath, and even the immortal power in his body was difficult to operate. Kanglang Jun was shocked. He looked at the woman in white dress in disbelief. He was at least a top-level immortal king, but just now, his whole body was suppressed and unable to mobilize. What is this concept? 100% strength suppression. It is conceivable how huge the gap between the two sides is. The woman in white dress seemed to have a meaningful look at Kanglang Jun, and the latter felt cold all over as if he fell into the abyss. Yi Junlin's face showed a strong interest, and he wanted to see what this woman was up to. To be able to suppress Xiao Dezi so that he couldn't move, he must be a strong person at the level of Immortal Emperor. The most important thing is that Yi Junlin can keenly feel an aura from the woman in white dress that is not weaker than Long Aocean. After confirming that everything was correct, he was very surprised. There was such a master in this small place. After all, Long Aocean was narcissistic, but he was the top powerhouse second only to him in Kunlun realm, and his potential was obvious to all. However, this unkempt, mysterious woman in a white dress might be able to match Long Aocean in terms of strength. For a moment, Yi Junlin became interested. As his thoughts turned, the woman in a white dress came to Yi Junlin, supported the table with one hand, leaned over and whispered in his ear, with seductive eyes and a light tone, "Sir, can I have a meal?" Because of the large bending, the seductive scene on her chest was directly presented to Yi Junlin at close range. The picture was great, give it full marks, but at the same time, the pungent smell of alcohol made Yi Junlin frown. This is a female alcoholic. Thank you. Before he could say anything, the woman in a white dress sat down next to him enthusiastically. She picked up the chopsticks and quickly put the food into her mouth, making unclear humming sounds, as if her mouth was full and she couldn't speak. Yi Junlin, no, is she determined to come here for a free meal? This elder sister, you are really shameless. Kanglang Jun was stunned. This woman who seemed to be a peerless genius actually did such a thing. But Yi Junlin did not stop her, but gestured for her to continue eating. In this way, the woman in the white dress began to eat and drink, especially the plate of dog meat. She ate until her mouth was full of oil, and occasionally she raised her head to drink wine, with a satisfied look on her face. Poor Gobuli was soon eaten up by the woman in the white dress, and even the bones were licked clean. The tongue is quite flexible. The people sitting in the inn were stunned by this ridiculous scene. A beautiful woman took the initiative to eat. Is this the advantage of being handsome? Envious. After eating everything, the woman in white burped loudly, crossed her legs without caring about her image, and used a bamboo stick to pick her teeth, looking like a lazy female gangster. The dog meat of the Tengu tribe is still delicious. This time, I finally didn't come in vain, he. Such a rough remark made everyone feel strongly uncomfortable. Wait, I remember, she seems to be Luo Qingwu from the Qingtian realm, who is known as the strongest immortal emperor in the entire Beihan immortal realm. A middle-aged man wearing an ancient crown slapped his head and exclaimed. Damn, she is the female gangster Luo Wuxia. Another male cultivator who knew the situation blurted out subconsciously, then quickly covered his mouth and shrank in his seat, trembling with fear. Hiss! In an instant, bursts of gasps came from the inn. Looking at the woman in white, the cultivators were shocked and frightened. I thought to myself that I didn't check the almanac before going out today. How could I meet such a female evil star here? Luo Qingwu, the most famous supreme immortal emperor in Beihan immortal domain, because her behavior is too shameless, she is like a shameless female hooligan, which makes countless righteous cultivators hate her. Over time, they call her Luo Wechi. Her strength is beyond doubt. In theory, with the blessing of her beauty, she can definitely gain a large number of fanatical brainless fans, but in recent years, because of her magical operation, she has only black fans left. When it comes to Luo Qingwu, this weirdo, most female cultivators are ashamed of her, and countless male cultivators are terrified. Back then, there was a son of an immortal who thought no one dared to provoke him. One day, he flirted with Luo Qingwu in front of him. As a result, he was caught by Luo Qingwu and tortured. When he was found by the immortal's men, they were horrified to see that the man had been cut into a bloody stick and stuck in a stinking cesspool and had been dead for a long time. After this incident was exposed, the Beihan immortal domain was in an uproar, and the old immortal was furious and personally went to hunt down Luo Qingwu. What shocked him was that he could not do anything to Luo Qingwu for a while. In the end, it was the sect behind Luo Qingwu who made a move, and the old ancestor of the same immortal level personally came forward to mediate. The old immortal had to swallow his anger and go home. After this incident, Luo Qingwu became notorious and established the throne of the strongest immortal emperor. Unexpectedly, Luo Qingwu appeared in a little-known town in Yusheng domain. This is no different from a shabby little temple, and suddenly a real Buddha came one day. How can people not be shocked? The strongest immortal emperor in Beihan Immortaland, Luo Qingwu. Hearing the discussion just now, Yi Junlin immediately knew the identity of the woman in white skirt. No wonder she is so powerful. Kanglang Jun's scalp tingled, and he kept muttering in his heart. I am not shameless, they are just spreading rumors. Luo Qingwu's face was flushed, her delicate body pressed tightly against Yi Junlin, and she stretched out a slender jade finger to gently lift Yi Junlin's chin. Her bold behavior was full of teasing, and her words were full of temptation. This little brother, thank you for your hospitality. I, Luo, am not a freeloader. While I still have some feelings for your handsome appearance, you can ask for anything. I can satisfy you next time. Come on.